Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Global Martial Soul. Start Awakening Deathwing. Chapter 61. Leave. How long? In the office, Kai Wei sat lazily on the chair. Her round legs wrapped in black stockings were superimposed on top of each other, making her look sexy and alluring. 2 months. Su Yi pondered for a moment and said. Dongjiang Wilderness Area, although it is close to the magic capital. But it takes about half a day to go back and forth. Therefore, he is going to stay directly in the wilderness for 2 months. After getting enough soul points in one breath, go back to school. 2 months. So long. Kai Wei leaned forward slightly, staring at Su Yi with clear eyes. Your current ranking in the local list is around 6,000. This is the bottom position in the whole school. With this grade, how dare I pass your leave request? Quote. Teacher Kai, you know my strength, I just don't have time to check the rankings. Su Yi said helplessly. The ranking of the ground leaderboard needs to be determined by the number of clearances in the virtual trial. As for the virtual trial, it is somewhat similar to the immersive game concept of the previous life. It takes an hour or two to brush the rankings here. Some time ago, when his strength was improving rapidly, it was too late to train. How is it possible to spend a time or two in a virtual trial? Therefore, after he entered a virtual trial and completed the strength certification, he didn't care about it anymore. The ranking in the ground list is the most intuitive performance of a student's strength. I stay with you special students every day, so I can naturally know your true strength without ranking. But some people only look at the rankings, do you understand? Kai Wei spread her hands helplessly. She serves as the chief instructor of the special enrollment training, and she also has assessment requirements. If the higher authorities track it down, Su Yi, an SSS level martial soul awakener. After the training camp, they were still ranked at the bottom of the school. Then she might be given a failing grade in her own final assessment result. At that time, her months of hard work will be in vain. Su Yi was slightly taken aback when he heard the words, and after a little thought, he immediately understood Kai Wei's current difficulty, so he said quickly. Teacher Kai, it's because I didn't think carefully, I'm going to check the rankings now. I'll ask you for leave when I get up in the rankings. Quote. For him, Kai Wei is not only a training instructor, but also his recruiting teacher. Moreover, during this month, Kai Wei also applied for many resources for him. Elixirs, weapons. It can be said that without Kai Wei's help, it would be impossible for him to enter the 3rd level of extraordinary so quickly, and the condensed anode is indestructible. Now that he knew Teacher Kai was in trouble, he naturally wanted to help. Besides, he didn't have time to brush the rankings before. Now that I have time, I just want to see what ranking I can reach in the end. To enter the virtual trial, you need to use a special sneak cabin. And on the 10th floor of the training building, there is a special use point for the sneak cabin. Ding dong. Su Yi walked out of the elevator, and with a sweeping gaze, he had a panoramic view of the entire scene on the 10th floor. Like the 3rd floor, this floor also has thousands of square meters. The overall decoration style is the same as some high-end internet cafes. It's just that what is placed here is not a computer, but a virtual sneak cabin full of technology. Hello, classmate, do you want to use the stealth cabin for a virtual trial? A girl who looked to be in her 20s, wearing a uniform and short shoulder-length hair came slowly, with a gentle smile on her face. Many places in the magic capital Hunwu University cooperate with off-campus companies, and this stealth cabin is used like this. The partner is a technology company called Extreme Network Technology Company, Limited. As a commercial company, they naturally know how to give guests a better experience. For example, the uniform worn by this staff member is a black dress. It is paired with black knee socks with a little bit of flesh, although it is not as beautiful as Zhu Jinyuan and Ling Shuang. But she is also considered a beautiful woman. And staff like this, here, are just the norm. Of course, if it is a female student, you will be greeted by a handsome male staff member. Without paying too much attention to the other person's appearance, Su Yi nodded slightly. Then please come with me. Led by the girl with short hair, Su Yi came to a huge instrument. This instrument is rectangular in shape. It is about 3 meters high, and there is a space of about 3 or 4 square meters inside. This is a strength collection instrument, just go in and follow the prompt to operate. the short-haired girl said with a sweet smile. Okay. Su Yi stepped in. Laugh. The door of the instrument was closed, and a light blue virtual light shot out from the instrument. Starting from the top of his head, from top to bottom, he scanned him completely. The 2120 freshman, Su Yi, has successfully collected his body data. Next, please explode your soul power with all your strength and display the soul skills you have mastered. Quote. Before entering the virtual trial, the highest burst of soul power and the strength of various soul skills after the burst will be recorded. Only in this way, the strength displayed after entering the virtual trial is the closest to the real combat power. The last time I came, Su Yi had already entered it once, and this time I am also familiar with it. Boom. The soul power exploded with all its strength. Jin Red's soul power filled the air, and the hideous phantom of Deathwing spread its wings behind him. Let's start. Su Yi took a deep breath and began to practice the soul skills he had mastered. Outside the instrument, the short-haired girl in uniform did not leave, but stood aside with hesitation on her face. Her name is Wang Jing, she is 20 years old, and she is a sophomore in Shanghai University of Arts and Sciences. Her uncle is an executive of the Extreme Network Technology Company. Relying on this relationship, she has the opportunity to be a summer worker here. And the reason for her hesitation now is what her uncle told her before she came here. The Demon City Soul Martial Arts University is the top university for soul fighters in China. Those who can enter this university are all geniuses among geniuses, big shots in the future. This summer job opportunity was won by me from several executives. You must work hard and strive to find a boyfriend from the magic capital Seoul Wuda back during the 3 months of summer vacation. In this way, your parents don't have to worry about your future. Quote. The students who graduated from the Seoul Martial Arts University in Shanghai are all extraordinary 6th-level soul warriors at least. Moreover, it is not the 6th-order extraordinary of common, but the 6th-order extraordinary who has A-level and B-level martial souls and is only in his 20s. Such characters, no matter where they are placed, are the targets of competition by various forces. And she, a common arts student, if only she could find such a boyfriend. In the future, not only myself, but even my whole family will benefit from it. Even so, Wang Jing also has her own arrogance. If she doesn't see the right way, even if the other party is a genius from the demon capital Seoul Martial Arts University, she will not be willing to strike up a conversation. However, the little brother who went in just now is pretty good. She murmured to herself. Su Yi, who is tall and handsome, caught her attention as soon as she came in. That's why she rushed over to be the guide. I just don't know if his potential is good. Although the students in the magical capital Seoul Wudali are all geniuses among geniuses. But since she entered here, she naturally wanted to choose the best among the best, and pick a partner with good potential. Fortunately, I have permission to read the data. Wang Jing took out her work card, swiped it on the instrument, and Su Yi's general information appeared on the monitor next to her. Open black lens bracket name. Su Yi close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket student ID, asterisk close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket level, extraordinary tier 3 close black lens bracket. Certification strength, extraordinary level 6. The level is extraordinary level 3, but the certification strength is extraordinary level 6. Wang Jing's pupils shrank, and a storm arose in her heart. The method of identifying potential is very simple. It depends on how much the certification strength exceeds the level. For example, the grade is extraordinary level 3, but the certification strength is only extraordinary level 2. That means that this person's potential is limited, and even his original strength cannot be fully utilized. The rank is extraordinary level 3, and the certified strength is extraordinary level 4, which means that this person has extraordinary talent and is able to leapfrog combat. And beyond the 3 levels, with the 3rd level of extraordinary, the strength of the 6th level of extraordinary is certified, which is beyond the description of extraordinary talent. This kind of person is generally called a monster. Wang Jing looked at the display panel with fiery eyes. Moreover, judging from the student number sequence, the other party is only a prospective freshman. 6 more years in school. After 6 years, she couldn't imagine how far she could reach. When he comes out later, I must get his contact information. Wang Jing played with the corner of her skirt unconsciously with her right hand, feeling a little nervous inside. This was the first time she asked for a boy's contact information on her own initiative. Usually at school, those boys would ask her for her contact information. Normal mind, normal mind. Wang Jing took a few deep breaths before she calmed down a little. Swish. At this moment, with a swipe of the screen, the column of Su Yi's certified strength jumped and changed to extraordinary level 7. Extraordinary 7th order. Wang Jing's beautiful eyes widened suddenly, and her crisp voice trembled a little. She didn't expect that Su Yi's certification strength could go up even further. The emotions that she had finally calmed down became intense again, her breathing became short of breath, and her chest heaved violently. After a while, he completely calmed down. How did you achieve this strength? At this time, she had a great curiosity about Su Yi. 3 grades higher, it can be called a monstrous evildoer. After 4 levels, she couldn't imagine how the other party did it. I remember that in order to prevent students from accidents in the instrument has a monitoring function. Found it, this is it. Quote. Wang Jing clicked on the monitoring function in the upper right corner of the screen, and as soon as the screen turned, the scene in the instrument appeared on the screen. The moment the monitor screen appeared, she was so frightened that she took a few steps back. After finally standing still, the legs in the knee-length black stockings were still trembling slightly. What is this? In the instrument screen in front of her, there appeared a creature more than 2 meters tall, with dark gold pupils, crimson scales on the key parts of the body, muscles like steel, full of violent beauty. And behind this creature, there is an incomparably ferocious black dragon phantom with pupils like flames. This is Su Yi. Wang Jing leaned over tremblingly, only to recognize the terrifying creature on the screen. It was the little brother who just entered. This change is too big. Since there are human beings inside, it is not a monster. She also breathed a sigh of relief, not so scared, and continued to watch the screen. Not to mention, I'm used to it, and I feel quite domineering. There was a sparkle in her beautiful eyes. On the screen, Su Yi's whole body is filled with golden red soul power, and bright flames surround him like courtiers. Combined with his resolute and steady expression, and his powerful and fierce figure, he is extremely domineering. However, this form should not be his normal state. A blush flashed across Wang Jing's face. If this is the real form of the other party, how can she bear it in the future? If you go in like this, you will definitely die. Thinking of this, her pretty face quickly became as red as blood. No, what am I thinking? I haven't written my horoscope yet, why do I think so far away? Wang Jing quickly broke free from the chaotic thoughts and imagination. Except for the residual rosiness on her face, she could no longer see any abnormalities. However, when looking at Su Yi in the picture, her slender legs wrapped in black knee socks still tremble slightly involuntarily. Laugh. The door of the instrument opened, and Su Yi, who had finished recording his strength, came out from inside. Every time I enter the virtual trial, I have to re-enter the strength data, which is too troublesome. Su Yi frowned slightly. But he also knows that being able to simulate one's true strength in the virtual world is already a very black technology. Hi student Su, are you going to use the stealth capsule next? Beside him, Wang Jing, who had a rosy face on her pretty face, asked. Su Yi gave her a strange look. He felt that the other party's eyes were a little strange. Apart from the respect for the guests, there seemed to be inexplicable heat. That feeling is like seeing something exciting. Under the leadership of Wang Jing, Su Yi came to an empty stealth cabin. This is a common model diving cabin with an oval shape, which can accommodate a user whose height is less than 2 meters. When he opened the hatch and was about to go in, Wang Jing beside him suddenly said, Student Su, I'm Wang Jing from the Liberal Arts University next door. I'm a sophomore this year. Could you please give me your contact information? After finishing speaking, she stood there with a pretty face flushed, lowered her head, not daring to look directly at Su Yi. Contact information. Su Yi could tell that this girl seemed interested in her. And although he wasn't very interested in this girl, it didn't seem too good to refuse so directly. So, he still gave his contact information. 1865XXXX, this is my phone number. After speaking, he waded directly into the diving cabin. Laugh. The hatch is closed, and the virtual trial begins. Outside the cabin, Wang Jing, who quickly recorded the phone number, waved her pink fist, with a look of joy on her face. Get the contact information, take the first step successfully, and then, let's see if I can take him down. Wang Jing, come on. Comma, swish. On the broad silver land, a tall figure slowly projected out. Come in. Su Yi looked around. Here is the initial interface for opening the virtual trial. He tried jumping and pumping his fists, and it felt like it was real. This virtual technology is simply perfect. Although it was the second time he came in, he still had some emotions. Blue Star's virtual technology is extremely developed. In high school, many students were immersed in full virtual games. He also tried several times at that time, but those so-called full simulation games were not as real as this virtual trial. I don't know how the school built such a real virtual world. If this technology was put outside, I'm afraid it would have ruled the game industry. Just as he was feeling emotional, a majestic voice sounded from the sky. Welcome Su Yi, student number ***, to enter the virtual trial. Your current customs clearance level is 0, and you were ranked 6012th in the land list. Next, please choose your weapon and combat uniform. A large amount of equipment appeared in front of Su Yi's eyes. He glanced at it, and quickly chose the more familiar blood shadow knife and extreme combat uniform. A little lighter, but about the same. Su Yi waved the saber in his hand, just like in reality, giving him a heavy feeling. Estimated weight should be around 120 kg. Before the condensed anode is immortal, his weapon weighs 98 kg. After the condensed anode is immortal, his physical fitness has doubled. Even this 120 kg standing knife is a bit light. When the virtual trial is over, go back and change the key sword. Su Yi said silently. The heavier the sword, the higher the lethality. If it weren't for his lack of strength before, he even wanted to directly replace it with a 200 kg sword. The selection of equipment is complete, and the virtual trial begins. At this time, the majestic voice sounded again. Rumble. The sky trembled. With Su Yi as the center, the surrounding scenes changed rapidly. In an instant, it became a vast grassland. Standing on it, you can vaguely smell the fragrance of the soil and feel the breeze blowing. It's so real. Su Yi praised again. Rumble. Suddenly, a dull voice came from a distance. Roar. An owl dog, as huge as a small car, roared and rushed over. And the dull sound just now was made by its huge soles kicking on the mud. Well done. Su Yi didn't even use his soul power, he just moved back skillfully, and the blood shadow sword flashed. More than 2,000 kilograms of strength, full strength explosion. Puff. Blood mist sprayed from Ao Quan's neck. Too weak. Su Yi's eyes were cold and his temperament was lacking. This is the first level of the virtual trial. The strength of this Ao dog is not even the first level of extraordinary. It was for that student to test the waters, and to him, there was no threat at all. The strength of the previous trials was very weak. Just right, let me try to see what level 1 can break through with my physical body alone without using soul power. Su Yi looked to the upper right corner, there was a message box. Open black lens bracket name, Su Yi. Number of virtual trial layers, 1 layer. Land ranking, 5,920. Just after passing the first floor trial, his ranking has risen by nearly 100 places. Virtual trial, the first 10 levels, there will be no rest time. After clearing the first level, the second level of trials will follow. Roar. Ah. Soon, 2 roars sounded, and 2 Ao dogs, which were much more powerful than before, rushed towards this side. Their eyes are scarlet, and their fangs are dense and sharp. There is no doubt that even steel will be crushed in one bite. Puff, puff. Su Yi waved the knife at will like a stroll in the courtyard. The 2 Ao dogs fell into a pool of blood, then turned into light spots and disappeared out of thin air. The fierce beast in front of the virtual trial is not a low threshold for common soul fighters. But for Su Yi, it doesn't bring any trouble at all. The 4th floor. www. The 8th floor. 9th floor. He passed the virtual trial at a terrifying speed, and his ranking in the local leaderboard also soared. 5,920. 5,343. 3,216. 2,610. His ranking will soon reach around 2,600. The third floor of the training building. Special admissions just ended, a session of training. Their training intensity is very high, so most students choose various ways to relax during the rest time after training. Some choose jogging, some choose to do aerobics, and some choose to watch videos by taking out their mobile phones. Damn it, how did Suyi's ranking suddenly rise so much? It's already reached 2,600. Suddenly, a short-haired boy who swiped his phone screamed out, with an expression of seeing a ghost. Impossible, he was still over 6,000 before. Damn it, it really is. His companion leaned over, took a look, and also screamed out. I was in the elevator just now, and I wondered why Suyi went upstairs. It turned out that he had entered the virtual trial. Brother Su has finally started to hit the rankings. If you ask me, he should have gone long ago. That's right, Brother Su's strength is about the same as Zhu Jinyu's, so I wouldn't be surprised if he reached more than 2,000 a day. Suyi is extremely popular among the entire special enrollment crowd. At this time, it was discovered that he was starting to hit the ranking list, and many people took out their mobile phones to pay attention to Suyi's ranking. Aaron, Suyi is starting to hit the charts. In the corner of the training room, Walker said in a deep voice. After a month of training, his common words have become quite pure. At least it doesn't sound that weird anymore. Don't worry about him, his strength is already at the same level as mine, it's just that he didn't hit the rankings before. Aaron closed his eyes slightly, concentrating on his soul power training. The failure last time left a shadow on Suyi's martial arts, and the other party even worshipped a master named Feng Hoji. In this way, he no longer has the desire to take action against Suyi. They can only wait a year and a half later for the selection of places in the secret realm, and then use their own means. A15 Training Area. Here is Zhu Jinyu's practice area exclusively. At this time, she was sitting cross-legged on the ground, practicing the soul energy guidance method. Charming and pretty face, uneven and seductive figure. Whether it is appearance or figure, she belongs to the category of the best. Even sitting there quietly, doing nothing, there is a kind of breathtaking beauty. Paired with black-rimmed glasses on a pretty face, there is an inexplicable temptation. After hearing the content of the surrounding discussions, she slowly opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes, as clear as a baby's, shone with splendor, and she murmured expectantly. Finally started to hit the rankings, let me see how strong your real strength is. I don't know if I can get past the level that stuck me. Quote. Although she would often discuss with Suyi, both of them would go to the end and neither would use soul skills. Therefore, even she doesn't know how strong Suyi's true strength is. But in the virtual space it is different. You can give full play to it without any worries. In it, her martial soul talent, soul skills, swordsmanship. All kinds of methods came out frequently, and they exerted their strength to the limit. In the end, he only rushed to the 20th floor and was stuck at around 2,000 on the ground list. Therefore, she is looking forward to how strong Suyi will be after exerting her ultimate strength. It rushed to more than 2,600 people all at once, and it really didn't give us any face. Yeah, this gap is really too big. The white-haired girl Yan Lingqiang and the glamorous beauty and Ling Shuang next to her also saw Suyi's ranking change. After sighing aloud, he wasn't surprised at all. After all, Suyi's training place is next to them. If you pay a little attention at ordinary times, you will know that Suyi's strength is much, much stronger than them. With this kind of lifting speed, the field division is normal. In the office, Kai Wei, who had just finished teaching, seemed a little tired and sat on a chair. Then his body leaned forward without a trace, and the slightly heavy waves were gently placed on the table. Call. Kai Wei's whole body was slightly relaxed, and at the same time she breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, there was a burst of noise outside the door, mixed with words such as, Suyi is on the list, and Su Jie finally started the virtual trial. This little guy has finally started to show his strength. Kai Wei breathed a sigh of relief, and smoothed her hair with her jade hand. In this way, they won't say that I didn't do well in the exam. As long as Suyi's ranking goes up, she almost doesn't have to worry about whether she passes the assessment requirements for being a training instructor this time. Instead, What needs to be considered is what kind of rewards should be asked from Vice President Lee at that time. It's not enough to just raise 20 star points. Up. Su Yi's ranking has increased by more than 100. It's amazing. In just 10 minutes, Su Yi has already reached the 2,300th place. This customs clearance speed is terrifying. On the third floor of the training building, many people gathered together, watching the changes in Su Yi's ranking. Everyone pay attention, we are going to start the training of the second class. Kai Wei came out of the office and clapped her hands as a reminder. She is in charge of all the morning classes. In the afternoon, I will change to another teacher. Hey, class is about to start, I can't watch Su Yi's impact on the ranking list. It's okay, he is now in the 2,300 ranks, and his final ranking should be the same as Zhu Jinyu's, around the 2,000 ranks. That's right, let's see his final ranking after the training is over. Although many people are very interested in Su Yi's final ranking, but when the training session starts, they can't stop training. Instead, they watch the ranking changes here by guarding their mobile phones. In the last class, we talked about how to punch better. In this class, we will start the practical training. First of all, exert force on the feet and drive the waist. Soon, Kai Wei's melodious voice sounded in the training room. The special enrollment crowd also concentrated their attention and cooperated with the training under her guidance. But what no one noticed was that Su Yi's ranking on the mobile phone interface that was casually placed on the equipment was still rising rapidly. Roar! In the virtual trial, a mastiff rushed towards Su Yi with a bloody wind. Die! Su Yi's expression didn't change, he slashed at the mastiff's neck as he shifted his steps. It's just that the saber, after cutting 8 centimeters into the mastiff's neck, got stuck and couldn't go any further. Ah! Under the pain, the mastiff slapped it with its giant paws like cattail leaf fans. At the front of the giant claw, the sharp claws flashed with cold light. Facing the attacking giant claws, Su Yi frowned slightly. Instead of retreating, he murmured in a low voice. Flame knife. Boom! A fiery golden flame erupted from the blood shadow battle stuck in Yigo. Then devour the mastiff whole. Roar! A shrill roar sounded, and the mastiff completely turned into a mass of golden flames, and then turned into light spots, disappearing in this space. The trial on the 19th floor has passed. Please pay attention to the trialists. The trial on the 20th floor will start in 5 minutes. A majestic voice sounded, and Su Yi turned his head to look at the upper right corner. Open black lens bracket name, Su Yi. Number of virtual trial floors, 19 floors. Hash. 2053. Only relying on the physical body, can we only break through to about 2,000? He murmured under his breath. From the 14th floor of the trial, all the first-level intermediate elite monsters appeared, which is equivalent to the 6th-level extraordinary soul warrior. And on the 19th floor just now, the first-order intermediate beasts all appeared at the same time. It is already a bit exhausting to kill these beasts with the body alone. Of course, he can also turn on the anode state to increase his physical strength again. But the positive state can only last for more than 20 minutes, and it will not be used easily until the final moment of ranking. However, it's not bad. A sunny smile appeared on Su Yi's face. Next, let's use your soul power. The position of around 2,000 is Zhu Jinyu's current ranking. In other words, he will fight Zhu Jinyu in the future. Even without soul power, relying solely on the physical body, you can fight her evenly, or even suppress her. Please pay attention to Su Yi. The trial on the 20th floor is about to start. In 20 minutes, kill 31st order intermediate one-horned rhinos that are besieging you. If you die halfway, you fail. If the number of killed one-horned rhinos does not reach 30 after 20 minutes, it is also a failure to pass the level. A magnificent voice sounded from the sky. 31 horned rhinos, are they all first-order intermediates? Su Yi's complexion changed slightly. The one-horned rhinoceros is also a very difficult one among the ferocious beasts. With rough skin and thick flesh, not only is he strong in defense, but also his strength and speed are almost the same as that of him who has condensed the anode indestructible body. It is completely different from the previous first-order intermediate Ao Dog. 20 such one-horned rhinos, that is to say, 20 whose physical strength is almost the same as that of Su Yi, beat up one of Su Yi. In 20 minutes, let Su Yi kill all 20 heads by himself. Abnormal. The 20th floor is so abnormal. No wonder even Zhu Jinyu is stuck here. There are only about 2,000 people. Su Yi could fully imagine how desperate the slender Zhu Jinyu was when faced with so many one-horned rhinos. Fortunately, I still have soul power. Su Yi's heart moved. Jin Red's soul power quickly covered his whole body, and the ferocious death wings also condensed out from behind him. At the same time, the martial soul talent fire element advanced affinity is fully mobilized. Forms a flame protection net of dazzling flames around him. With the blessing of soul power, my speed, nerve response, and dynamic vision will all be greatly enhanced. Su Yi moves a few times, and he who uses his soul power is considered. It's time to really start getting serious. Trial on the 20th floor, start. The last time passed, and the magnificent sound resounded like thunder in the entire grassland world. At the same time, on the grassland 100 meters away in front, a strong rhinoceros with a height of 1.5 meters and a width of about 1 meter appeared. Their skin exudes a bright luster like jade, tough and tough. On the head of each one-horned rhinoceros, there is a single horn as sharp as a sharp knife inlaid. There are a total of 31 horned rhinos, and the horns of each one have a faint scarlet color, as if stained with blood. If such a unicorn stabbed Su Yi, even if he would not die immediately, it would probably cause his bones to break, his internal organs to bleed, and cause him serious injuries immediately. With that weird roar, boom. All 31st order intermediate one-horned rhinos with red eyes, white gas spraying from their thick nostrils, trampled on the grass with 4 hooves, splashed the mud, and rushed towards Su Yi quickly. The grassland ground trembled faintly. With a distance of 100 meters between the two sides, in front of a group of first-order intermediate one-horned rhinos that are traveling at a speed of 20 meters per second, they are about to rush in front of Su Yi in just a few seconds. Flame. The advanced affinity of the fire element allows Su Yi to have the ability to mobilize the fire element within 10 meters around the body. Therefore, he directly gave these rough-skinned and thick-skinned one-horned rhinos a flame bath. Rumble. The golden-red flames engulfed 31 horned rhinos, but they did not scream like the owl dog before, but seemed to be angered by the surrounding flames. The scarlet in the eyes became more and more obvious. Roar. They trampled on the flames with all 4 hooves and roared like a tsunami. The endless waves of one-horned rhinos wanted to drown Su Yi. The lethality of flames is related to the quality of soul power. Su Yi is only at the 3rd level of extraordinary, and the low damage of the flames condensed by mobilizing the fire element is also within his expectation. It can cause damage to the owl dog, but it can't do anything to the one-horned rhinoceros. Facing the unharmed one-horned rhinoceros rushing towards her, Su Yi moved around and used the intermediate soul jar without hesitation. Extreme Flame Knife. Wow! The blood shadow sword covered with flames cut forward like lightning. Plop, plop. Immediately, the heads of several one-horned rhinoceros were chopped off, their huge bodies lost control, and fell to the ground in a pool of blood. Roar. By using the gap of soul skills, a one-horned rhino has already rushed to Su Yi's side. The one horn shone coldly, and pushed hard towards Su Yi's waist. If this corner is solid, even with the damage reduction protection of the ultimate battle suit, if you don't die, you will be seriously injured. And once he is seriously injured, it will be difficult for him to send him through this again. Spirit Step. Su Yi's figure flashed, like a nimble bird, and suddenly disappeared in place. When it reappeared, it was already in an open space 12 meters away from the one-horned rhinoceros. The entry-level sparrow step can penetrate a distance of 5 meters, and the small-level sparrow step can penetrate a distance of 8 meters. And this Dacheng-level spirit sparrow step, the advanced distance is set at 2 meters. Looking at the one-horned rhinoceros who had lost the target of attack not far away and fell into a daze, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Soul skills are roughly divided into 4 types. Attacking soul skills, defensive soul skills, control soul skills, and footwork soul skills. Among them, offensive and defensive soul skills are the most common, while control and footwork soul skills are relatively rare. And his profound level intermediates, Spirit Sparrow Step, footwork-like soul skill is extremely flexible in advancing and retreating freely. In the student system, the price is as high as 3,000 credits and 3,000 Shihua decorations. Of course, this is also taught by Mr. Zhang Daoyuan. In his words, no matter how strong your body is, no matter how fierce your melee combat is, if you can't touch others, it's useless. Body forging soul fighters, only with footwork type soul skills can they use their powerful bodies to the extreme. Roar. The one-horned rhino from before also found that he had been teased, and the scarlet in his eyes deepened again. Bringing the herd of one-horned rhinos, they rushed towards this side again. The best way to solve the group attack is to use a large range of attack damage. But among the skills that Suyi has mastered, except for active talent and magma flames, the others are soul skills that are single body or affect 2 or 3 heads at most. The active talent magma flame can only be used once. Even this virtual space can only be used once per trial. Therefore, until the end, he will not use his active talents. Since there is no way to attack in groups, let's attack them one by one. Next, Suyi used the sparrow step to continuously shuttle through the herd of one-horned rhinoceros. Every blow of the extreme flame crazy knife is the life of 2 or 3 one-horned rhinos. Relying on this method, it took him about 15 minutes to kill all the one-horned rhinos. Suyi was panting heavily, and on the grass around him, one-horned rhino carcasses were piled up in piles. The gurgling red blood merged into a stream. Dye the surrounding green grass to dark red. Clear the trial on the 20th floor, and after 5 minutes, the trial on the 21st floor will start. The majestic voice sounded again, and the corpse on the grass instantly turned into a spot of light and dissipated out of thin air. The entire grassland world has returned to its original peaceful state. Finally cleared the level. Suyi let out a long breath. In the battle just now, his soul power exploded with all his strength, and he used soul skills frequently, even he felt a little tired. This level is so difficult. After passing the level, the ranking should rise a lot. He looked at the sky on the upper right, and sure enough, the information there had been refreshed. Open black lens bracket name, Suyi. Number of virtual trial floors, 20 floors. Land ranking, 1631. The ranking has risen by nearly 400 places. Suyi's face was filled with joy, and he didn't delay any longer. He sat cross-legged on the grass, and seized the time to run the Sun Soul Energy Guidance method. After the trial begins, the soul power of the trialer will not recover by itself. Therefore, there will be a few minutes of rest time for clearing the first level of trials. This time is used to recover the soul power. In the previous trials, he didn't use his soul power, and he didn't need to recover. But starting from this level, he must keep his soul power full to face more and more powerful beasts. Trial on the 21st floor. Within 30 minutes, kill 61st order intermediate one-horned rhinos that are besieging you. If you die halfway, you fail. If the number of killed one-horned rhinos does not reach 60 after 30 minutes, it is also a failure to pass the level. 5 minutes later, with the magnificent sound, 61 horned rhinos came galloping from 100 meters ahead like a tide. The number of ferocious beasts has doubled, and the difficulty has increased by not a little bit. It's going up exponentially. However, Suyi, who is full of soul power, is not afraid of this. Bring it on. I saw him holding the blood shadow sword, standing upright, exuding a fanatical fighting spirit all over his body. Deathwing martial soul also loomed ferociously behind him. The last time I shot with all my strength was when I passed through the Xingjia wilderness area. When I arrived at school, I also competed with classmates such as Zhu Jinyuan and Ling Shuang. There is no way to go all out. Now, I can finally have a good fight. Okay. That's it for the second class. Take a 10-minute break and we'll start the third class. On the third floor of the training building, Kai Wei, who finished a class, announced that the get out of class was over. Phew, get out of class is finally over. Have you written down the trajectory of the soul power of that Huang rank soul skill just now? I'm still a little confused. Tisk, you haven't even memorized the trajectory of the soul power of a low-level yellow rank soul skill, you are too weak. The special recruits in the training room were discussing in 2s and 3s, scattered in all directions. Some are ready to discuss the content of the class just now, and those who have already mastered it are relaxing. Some students who were thinking about Suyi's ranking walked in the direction where they put their mobile phones. On the other side, Kai Wei, who announced that after class was over, turned around a little tired, and was going back to the office to rest. A training session is 1 hour. Throughout the class, she had to run her soul power herself from time to time, demonstrating soul skills or the trajectory of soul power. Actually, it's all good. As a soul warrior of the Tiangong rank, he only uses his soul power for demonstration, and basically does not bring any consumption. The most tiring thing for him is when he instructs some students alone. No matter how you put it, the feeling that the other party can't understand the trajectory of the soul power really makes her feel tired. It feels more annoying than killing a tier 3 beast. If only everyone could be like Suyi and Zhu Jinyu. Kai Wei couldn't help sighing. These two are the students who don't worry her the most. Even if they don't participate in this training camp, it won't have any impact on their strength improvement. Damn it, Brother Su has already reached more than 1,300. Suddenly, a cry of exclamation exploded in the training room. Damn it, can't it? Didn't he say that he would reach around 2,000 at most? The difference between the estimate and the reality is too much. Let me see, are you wrong? Damn it, it's true, Brother Su is already ranked 1,323rd in the land list. Hey, 1323, is that almost the position of the extraordinary 7th rank seniors? Terrible, how did you rush to the front all of a sudden? This is even fiercer than Zhu Jinyu. A few students who were closer leaned over and glanced at the phone screen, and they also exclaimed, their faces full of disbelief. What are you talking about? Su Yi rushed to the 1,323rd place. A slightly excited crisp voice sounded. Turning around to look, it was the plump Kai Wei in the distance. I saw her pretty face flushed slightly, and red soul power emerged from her round legs wrapped in black silk. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, she disappeared in place and appeared in front of a group of students. It turned out that in order to get close quickly, he directly used the soul skill. Teacher Kai Wei. The surrounding students shouted respectfully. Kai Wei didn't respond. She stared straight at the student with the mobile phone in her hand, and asked with fiery eyes. Is Su Yi really 1323? The ranking I just refreshed just now can't be fixed. The student quickly handed the phone to Kai Wei. Actually, it's true. On the ranking list on the phone screen, behind Su Yi, 1323, is impressively displayed. Looking at this ranking, Kai Wei's delicate hand holding the phone trembled slightly. 1323. What concept is this? Even for the martial soul genius students of the previous session, the highest ranking in the local list is only about 1800. As for Su Yi, he surpassed the ranking of more than 600 geniuses in the previous session. In front of Su Yi, the training time of the previous talent who was 1 school year ahead is nothing short of a joke. Su Yi hasn't come down yet. Could it be that this is not his limit? Kai Wei suddenly thought of this terrible conjecture. If this is the case, Su Yi's ranking is likely to increase again. Thinking of this, she hurriedly paid attention to Su Yi's ranking again. Su Yi's strength is simply against the sky. More than 1300, this is the ranking that can only be reached by extraordinary 7th level soul warriors. Quote, I knew that Su Yi would be a blockbuster this time around. Brother Su is mighty. On the other side, Yan Lingqiang, and Ling Shuang, Zhao Ruo, and Zhang Yi also noticed Su Yi's soaring ranking, and got together to express their emotions. 1323, is this your true strength? Beside them, Zhu Jinyu had his left arm around his chest, and the expression on his delicate face was extremely complicated. Originally thought that although there was a gap between her and Su Yi, it should not be much different. But looking at it now, the gap is simply a sky and an underground. Little you, are you all right? The white-haired girl Yan Lingqiang walked over and comforted her. This guy Su Yi is a pervert, you don't need to compare with him. She knows her best friend. Although the appearance is weak, but in fact, it is also an unyielding temperament. Otherwise, they wouldn't always go to Su Yi to challenge each other and compete with each other. I'm fine. Zhu Jinyu shook her head slightly, her red lips moved slightly. Since Su Yi is an SSS-level martial soul awakener, he naturally has his advantages. I was just feeling a little bit emotional just now. In the past month, she not only worked hard to train and practice. The family behind him also provides resources and full support. Under such circumstances, she quickly entered the 4th level of extraordinary, and several profound level soul skills have also been cultivated to great success. Even so, there is still such a big gap with Su Yi. It's no wonder she felt a little out of balance. Okay, he hasn't come down now, it should be the end of the list. When he comes down, I have to ask carefully how he trains. Zhu Jinyu stretched her waist, and the graceful curves outlined by the training clothes made some girls around her envious with envy. And some youths who are full of blood and vitality even have faintly hot faces. Hey, I knew that my little Yu would not be knocked down so easily. Yan Lingqiang giggled. He leaned against Zhu Jinyu's hand, with an incomparably intimate look. But in fact, only she knows that besides being able to get closer to Zhu Jinshuo this way, it is an excellent position to be able to touch the huge softness of the other party without any trace. Virtual trial space. Su Yi didn't know that her ranking change caused such a big commotion. At this moment, he focused all his attention on the beast not far ahead. Wow, the blood shadow war knife lingering with scorching flames drew a golden trajectory in the air. Pooh, the last ferocious beast of this level was also buried in his hands. Clear the trial on the 22nd floor, and after 5 minutes, the trial on the 23rd floor will open. In the magnificent prompt tone, the bloody beast corpses around them all turned into spots of light and quickly disappeared. Open black lens bracket name, Su Yi. Number of virtual trial floors, 22 floors. Land ranking, 1103. After seeing the ranking changes, Su Yi didn't dare to delay, and quickly sat down cross-legged. Close your eyes slightly, and run the Da Sun Soul Energy Guidance method, with all your strength. In order to pass the level just now, he suffered several wounds on his body, and his battle clothes were also scratched a few times by the beast. The soul power in the whole body is almost exhausted, and it must be replenished as soon as possible. Trial on the 23rd floor, kill the first order advanced armored grizzly bear attacking you, the time is not limited. 5 minutes later, the magnificent voice sounded on time. A first-order advanced armored grizzly. Su Yi, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, suddenly changed his expression. Among the ferocious beasts, there are several ethnic groups that belong to mythical races, such as giant dragons and heavenly phoenix. Even cubs have the ability to destroy a city. And there are some fierce beasts that belong to the overlord level, such as grizzly bears and gorillas. This kind of overlord-level beast has great power and strong defense. It is not afraid of even a machine gun equipped with armor-piercing bullets. And the armored grizzly bear belongs to the group of overlord-level beasts of the grizzly bear category. The one-horned rhino before, under the same level, 20 heads together, can't even break the defense. Also, the armored grizzly this time should not be the first order advanced of common. Su Yi smiled wryly. Although, the Great Sun Soul Energy Guidance Method is an advanced guidance method, 5 minutes is really too short. He didn't even recover a third of his soul power. It seems that this level should be my limit. If you don't show your full strength, you may not be able to pass the level. He stood up slowly, his pitch-black pupils shrank and turned into a stunning dark gold. At the same time, from his chest, knees, and elbows, red scales continued to emerge, forming a hard protection-like armor. And his whole body also swelled up, and the battle suit that was accidentally torn apart by the claws of the beast was directly torn apart, exposing muscles as hard as steel. After turning on the anode state, his body is raised to 2 meters. Matched with the body shape that swelled a circle. Standing there, it looks like a fierce monster. And the blood shadow sword that was held in his hand, more than 1 meter long, is even more like a toy. Forget it, in this state, the saber is actually thicker. Su Yi threw away the saber casually and prepared to go on the stage with bare hands. Boot, accompanied by a terrifying roar. A giant gray bear with a height of 3 meters and a width of nearly 2 meters appeared in the grassland world. Its eyes are scarlet, and its gray hair is condensed together, like a layer of indestructible armor. Through the slightly protruding hair, you can see that its muscles are extremely strong. Sure enough, it's not common's first order advanced. Su Yi let out a foul breath slowly. This kind of power can already be regarded as an elite among the first order advanced. According to the level, it is comparable to the 8th level extraordinary spirit fighter, Little San. Roar. The armored grizzly roared and rushed towards this side. Every time it tramples, it will cause the entire grassland ground to vibrate faintly. Well done. With a bang, the soil splashed, and Suyi shot out like a cannonball. Because the speed was too fast, behind him, the phantom of Deathwing dragged out a long golden red shadow. In this grassland world, it is very conspicuous. Die, Chiryu fist. Suyi's right arm swelled violently, while the golden red soul power flickered. It seemed that there was a dragon chant. Deathwing's passive talent is berserk, and he has already increased his strength by 3 times to the limit. In addition to turning on the positive state, the physical fitness has been greatly strengthened. Moreover, Red Dragon Fist is also a profound level intermediate soul skill that has become a master. It can be said that this punch is the strongest attack he can make so far. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. The huge fist hit the armored grizzly bear hard. The next moment, it bounced violently on the ground a few times like a cannonball, smashed 5 or 6 dirt pits, and lay down on the grass far away. Roar. It quickly got up and let out a loud roar. The punch just now actually left a deep mark on its chest, not even breaking its hair armor. I know it's not that easy. Suyi's eyes were cold, and with all his soul power mobilized, he continued to rush towards the armored grizzly bear in the distance. Uppercuts, side kicks, jabs, kicks. After approaching the armored grizzly bear, Suyi almost turned into a golden red phantom. Like the frenzied warrior in mythology, his melee combat skills have been brought to the limit. Continuously flying wildly around the armored grizzly bear. The armored grizzly was beaten back again and again, waving its thick bare arms to keep blocking, and it only had the power to parry for a while. Boom, boom, boom. At the beginning, the white fur armor of the armored grizzly was only slightly dented in various places. To the back, the depressions are getting deeper and deeper, and bright red blood seeps out from all parts of its huge body. Soon, it turned into a blood-colored giant bear, extremely ferocious. Brush. At this moment, Suyi's body was sluggish, and the grizzly grabbed his left foot. Roar. On the huge head of the armored grizzly bear, there was a humanoid smile, as if to say, I got you. Oops. A long-term explosion of soul power and physical strength. Even Suyi, who has turned on the positive state, can't bear it. That's why there was a flaw. Boom. He kicked hard on the armored grizzly bear's chest with his right foot, trying to use his strength to break free. Unexpectedly, the armored grizzly bear's thick giant claws were like iron tongs, firmly grasping his left foot, making it impossible for him to break free. Roar. The scarlet eyes of the armored grizzly bear shone with excitement. He lifted Suyi high, and fell to the ground forcefully. Thinking to throw me? Impossible. Molten flames. Suyi had a ferocious expression, and finally used her active talent. Behind him, the ferocious Deathwing martial soul opened its huge dragon mouth. Fiery and dazzling, golden flames like magma spew out from its mouth. Boom. The flames instantly engulfed the 3-meter-tall armored grizzly bear, and Suyi also took advantage of the impact of the flames to break free. Hoo. Suyi stood on the grass, panting heavily. Under the 100% pain simulation of the virtual trial, he only felt his left foot was so hot that he couldn't even move it. The entire right foot was crushed to pieces in just a few seconds. Sure enough, even with the positive state turned on, my physical fitness is still far inferior to this overlord-level beast. Suyi looked forward. The armored grizzly bear swallowed by the flames of the lava was waving its bare arms wildly. The grassland around it was in a mess, with many potholes smashed out. While you are sick, I will kill you. If I don't seize this opportunity, then I won't have any fun. Suyi gritted his teeth, endured the severe pain, exerted all his strength on his legs, and with a bang, a pothole was left on the spot. But the whole person is like an arrow on a strong bow, shot out fiercely. Although the speed is slower than before. But he still crossed a distance of 20 meters within 1 second and rushed to the armored grizzly bear. Die to me, Chiryu fist. With the remaining soul power, Suyi strikes the final blow. The right arm rapidly swelled to be thicker than a common's thigh, and the fist was extremely huge. And the golden red soul power lingering on his huge fist, vaguely condensed into the shape of a giant dragon head. Puff. Like a large bullet, Suyi inserted his entire arm into the body of the armored grizzly bear, and pierced through his back. Then he stirred vigorously, smashing all the viscera of the armored grizzly bear. Roar. The armored grizzly let out a desperate wail, and waved its bare claws, trying to smash the claws of the human in front of it. However, as soon as its bare paw was raised, it fell down feebly. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. The huge bare body crashed down, and blood flowed out from the huge penetrating wound on the chest as if the faucet was turned on. Afterwards, the entire bear dog turned into a spot of light and disappeared. The trial on the 23rd floor is cleared. After 5 minutes, the trial on the 24th floor will start. Hearing the grand notification sound, Suyi also fell directly on the grass with a bang. It's over. He fell to the grass. I just felt pain all over my body, and my left foot felt like pepper water had been poured into the wound. It was burning hot. The whole body of the armored grizzly bear is extremely hard, and when you hit it frantically with physical skills before, it was like hitting a whole piece of C-grade alloy. Although it caused a lot of damage to it in the end, it successfully pierced its armor, paving the way for the final attack. But his own body was also seriously injured by the shock force. Open black lens bracket name, Suyi. Number of virtual trial floors, 23 floors. 982. Phew, the ranking has risen by more than 100, it's worth it. Suyi glanced at the message in the sky, and shouted loudly. End the trial. Now he is in extremely poor physical condition and is seriously injured. Even with the recovery of the anode immortal body, it will not be able to recover in 5 minutes. Moreover, on the 23rd floor, he tried his best to kill this beast with difficulty. On the 24th floor, the beasts that appear will definitely be stronger and more difficult to deal with. That being the case, it might as well go out early. He has no interest in staying under 100% pain simulation. It is detected that the tester is about to withdraw from the test, and the record is being counted. The statistics of the record are over. Suyi, the tester, you have killed a total of 430 beasts in this test. Among them, there are 123 primary beasts, 306 intermediate beasts, and 1 advanced beast. There are 23 floors in the virtual trial clearance, and the place ranking is 982. Congratulations, after passing this trial, your place ranking has risen by 5,030 places. Bang bang bang. In the prairie world, fireworks burst out in an instant, forming beautiful patterns one after another. At the same time, this record statistics information is recorded in the data curry. After being judged by the system, it was directly sent to the senior figures of the school. Is it my illusion? Why do you feel that this voice has some emotional color? Hearing this voice, Suyi was a little puzzled, and then he didn't think much about it, and sighed regretfully. Number 430 beasts. If these are real beasts, then I can harvest a lot of soul points. Quote. But it's coming soon. I can go to the wilderness area, hunt fierce beasts, and get soul points. Please pay attention to the testers, the nerve connection is about to be disconnected. At this time, the notification sounded again. After the beep ended, Suyi, who was lying on the grass, turned into a spot of light and disappeared into the grassland space. And his consciousness was also blurred, and when he came back to his senses, he had already returned to the virtual stealth cabin. Laugh. The hatch opens. Who? Suyi suddenly sat up from inside, panting heavily. Although the pain inside is simulated, the feeling transmitted to the nerves is real. Now, he still has that severe pain in his brain. Student Su, are you okay? Wang Jing, who was standing by, quickly handed over the buffer solution that had been prepared. This is a light white liquid in a glass bottle. It has the effect of relieving nerve touch and is used to counteract the side effects of leaving the virtual space. Thanks. Suyi took the bottle and drank the liquid inside. Only then did I feel the severe pain all over my body eased a lot. Thanks, I'm better now. Suyi thanked again, got up from the stealth cabin and walked out. No. Nothing. With a blush on Wang Jingjiao's pretty face, she whispered. Seeing this, Suyi couldn't help but smile a little. Why does this girl feel so shy? Okay, I'm leaving, see you next time. Suyi waved his hand, turned and left. The ranking of 982 is enough for teacher Kai Wei to ask for leave. Humming a ditty in his heart, he took 3 steps and 2 steps in parallel, and couldn't wait to see teacher Kai Wei soon. Looking at the leaving tall figure, Wang Jing opened her mouth, as if she wanted to stop Suyi. But after thinking about it, he seemed to have no reason to stop the other party, so he gave up. Wang Jing, it's fine. Now that you have contact information, why don't you have a chance to talk? She looked at the contact information on her phone and cheered herself up. Soon, a beautiful smile appeared on her face again. Then he continued his work with slender legs. Seoul Wuda, the capital of magic, in a quaint tutor's villa. Zhang Daoyuan sat on the ground of the training room, breathing steadily. Around his body, the black gold soul power that was as heavy as a mountain surrounded quietly. Drop. Suddenly, a notification tone sounded from the communication watch next to him. This voice is sent by the brain. Zhang Daoyuan slowly opened his eyes, picked up his watch, and clicked on the message. Then the pupils shrank, and the face as hard as a rock was full of shock. Ranked 982nd on the local list. It was Su Yi who charged up. Zhang Daoyuan repeatedly checked the information several times, and even went to the official website of the Seoul Martial Arts University to check it himself. Only then was it confirmed that this information was not false. Okay. After 1 month of enrollment, I rushed to the 982nd place. Good, very good. Zhang Daoyuan let out a hearty laugh, and the whole training room also faintly shook. Do. Suddenly, a caller ID appeared on the communication watch. Li Zhonghai. It seems that he should also be here for this matter. Zhang Daoyuan smiled and clicked on the connection. Sure enough, Li Zhonghai, another vice principal, appeared on the virtual projection screen the moment he clicked on the connection. Old Zhang, have you read the message? I see it. Zhang Daoyuan nodded. Haha, you really have taken in a good disciple. 982. This is a level that can only be achieved by a third-year student. Li Zhonghai laughed, looking very excited. After a pause, he continued. Since Janeo sent us this message, it means that she thinks that Su Yi's potential has met our requirements. That being the case, you are ready to prepare. As soon as we get in touch with Principal Yao, we will hold a virtual meeting to discuss this matter. Clear. When the principal was mentioned, Zhang Daoyuan also became serious. Tisk, I haven't seen Principal Yao for a long time. I didn't expect that even he would be alarmed this time. Yao Zhenshin, the only principal of the Demon City Soul Warrior University, is a king-level soul warrior. They have been fighting abroad all year round, and even the vice principals like them have not seen it once for several years in a row. Ding dong. On the other side, the elevator reached the 3rd floor, and Su Yi stepped out of it. Opposite the elevator, across a door, is the training ground for special recruits. Damn it, Su Yi has reached the top 1000. 982. Too strong. Hey, it's also a special recruitment. Why is he so strong? I'm sore, my ranking is still at the bottom of the list. Who says it's not? Alas, the gap between people is too big. As soon as he approached the door, he heard exclamations and exclamations from inside. Shouldn't they be training now? Su Yi glanced at the time. At 11:20, at this time, it happened to be teacher Kai Wei's last class. Forget it, don't worry about it, let's go in and have a look. With a bang, the door of the training room was pushed open by him. When he was about to step in, the students who were talking inside all looked this way. After discovering that it was Su Yi, they all quieted down in unison. All of a sudden, the entire training room was extremely quiet, and a needle could be heard. Quote. Su Yi was puzzled, and tried to wave his hand. Hello everyone. Damn it, Brother Su is back. Asterisk 982 people. Niu. Boss Su. Brother Su is mighty. 11. After the silence, the whole training room burst into cheers instantly. Some girls have hot eyes, and some teenagers have eyes full of admiration. Not far away, Zhu Jinyu, Yan Lingqiang, and An Lingshuang also had smiles on their faces. There was only Aaron, with a gloomy face, as ugly as if he had eaten a dead mouse. 1982 names. Even if he spends more than half a year, he may not be able to rush to this ranking. Okay, everyone, be quiet and train by yourself. At this time, Kai Wei walked out with slender thighs, with a bright smile on her face. Su Yi, come to my office. Mr. Kai, can you approve my fake this time? As soon as she sat down on the office chair, Su Yi couldn't wait to ask. Approval for leave. Kai Wei was taken aback. Just now, she has been paying attention to the rankings with the students, and she didn't even attend class. As for Su Yi asking for leave, he had already forgotten about it, only now that he mentioned it, he remembered it. So she said with a smile, "Of course I can approve your leave, you can just leave later. But let's not talk about this first. Do you know what your 982 rank means?" Kai Weijiao asked with a satisfied look on her face. "It means that I have entered the top 1000, and I have extra time to use the practice site." Su subconsciously said, "Hee, this is just the most basic reward." Kai Wei said with a faint smile, "Number 982 is a position that is usually only achieved by juniors or seniors. And you, a freshman who has just entered school for a month, broke into this position. It shows that not only your potential is extremely strong, but your actual combat history is also fierce. Just wait, after a while, the school's top management will respond and increase your resources by 0. Increase resource tilt." Su Yi's eyes lit up. "How much can you add?" "Each school year, at least 10 million Washa coins will be used as activity funds. Moreover, there are various rare resources, which will also be inclined to you." Quote. Kai Wei stretched out a white and tender finger, with an unconcealable envy in her tone. As the instructor of the Demon Capital Seoul Martial Arts University, she naturally knows how much this treatment is worth. It can be said that in the whole school, there are no more than 3 students who receive this treatment. 10 million Washa coins, all kinds of rare resources. Su Yi was overjoyed. 10 million Washa coins seems like a lot. But compared with the rare resources that the school will issue, it is far behind. For example, the few mysterious soul skills Mr. Zhang took out at random are worth tens of millions of Washa coins. At that time, some of the resources that the school randomly provided will be enough for him to digest for a long time. Successfully asked for leave, and also unexpectedly learned that the school will increase its resource allocation, Su Yi left the office in a happy mood. "I am going to see Zhu Jinyu and the others one last time. Su Yi, I didn't realize that you are so powerful." As soon as she walked to the A14 training area, the white-haired girl Yan Lingqiang laughed and joked. "Brother Su is mighty." Zhang Yi immediately took a flattery. "Master Su, really powerful." And Ling Shuang, a glamorous beauty, made a joke, which is rare. Number 982, "When I was in my junior year, I don't know if I can reach this ranking." Quote. Zhao Ruo was thinking about his future with a cute face. "Su Yi, how did you train? How can you be so much better than me?" Zhu Jinyu, who was standing beside him, also asked fiercely. With her pretty face, it doesn't look threatening, but looks very cute. Even Su Yi seldom sees Zhu Jinyu like this, so she can't help spreading her hands in a smile. "Just train like that, otherwise you can't train much. You are too hateful. No, I must challenge you tonight. Just wait." "Okay." Su Yi frowned and agreed directly. This girl seems to be really itchy. Next, he chatted with several people for a while. After 12 o'clock, I had a meal with everyone, and then went to the energy gathering tower alone. This month, he still has 2 hours to use each practice point. The tower can speed up the speed of the soul to increase the strength of the body, and the gravity chamber can deeply exercise the cells of one's body. Therefore, he can't let go of any of these 3 practice points, and must use up all the practice time. Otherwise, it will be a waste until the next month's practice time is emptied. Just when Su Yi was going to the energy concentrating tower, in the virtual space, in the endless grassland world. Above the grass, a 7-colored ray of light suddenly burst out, and a slim figure slowly condensed out. This is a stunning beauty with a tall figure and gorgeous appearance. Her long gold hair flutters in the wind, and there is a faint smile on her beautiful face. Next moment, I saw her slowly scanning the surroundings with her blue eyes. Then he stretched out his jade hand, out of nowhere. Virtual Parliament, open, rumble. The entire grassland world shook, and walls, tables and chairs rose from the ground. Soon, this prairie world turned into a luxurious conference hall. And in the middle of this conference hall, there is a silver round table. In each of the 4 directions of the round table, there is a pure black seat. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After the conference hall was formed, 3 figures projected out one after another, occupying the other 3 seats except the seat directly above. Of these 3 people, One of them is Zhang Daoyuan, who is tall and has a firm face. There is also Li Zhonghai, who is tall and thin, with a smile on his face forever, as if everything is under control. The last one was a slender, beautiful woman in her 30s. She is also the vice principal of the magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University, named Sun Rui. Master Cheng, is Principal Yao still here? Li Zhonghai asked the blonde girl next to the empty seat. Cheng is an artificial intelligence life brought back by President Yao from the outside, with a computing power of 1.25 billion times per second. Responsible for controlling the defense system, virtual space and students' daily task settlement of the entire magic capital Hanwoo University. Principal Yao will be here soon. Cheng smiled slightly and replied. As soon as the voice fell, a figure slowly gathered on the seat directly in front of him. This is a majestic middle-aged man. He looks common, but not angry. In a pair of pitch-black eyes, there seem to be stars turning. Principal Yao, Principal Yao, Principal Yao. When Zhang Daoyuan and the three saw this person, they all stood up and saluted. Well, sit down. Principal Yao nodded slightly. Xiao Cheng, play Su Yi's clearance video. Okay. Sapphire hand a little. With a buzzing sound, the video of Su Yi entering the trial on the 23rd floor was projected in the middle of the round table and started playing. Physical fitness is good, old Zhang. This should be the appearance of your anode indestructible body after entering the anode state. Ha, the strength of his soul power is already close to the 4th level of extraordinary. Among his martial soul talents, there should be one that enhances his strength. That's right, he has a strong fighting spirit. If he was hit by an armored grizzly bear a little later, everything would be over. As the video played, several avenues also expressed their opinions. Not long after 0.8, all the means on Su Yi's body were taken care of. After watching the video, what do you think? Will you give him first-order treatment? After the video was played, Principal Yao asked in a deep voice. Although he himself was seriously injured, it's pretty good to be able to kill an 8th-level extraordinary armored grizzly bear with the strength of a 3rd-level extraordinary. Therefore, I think he should be given the first-order treatment. Quote. Zhang Daoyuan spoke first, and Li Zhonghai and Sun Rui also followed suit. This kind of fighting talent and fighting awareness is worthy of our vigorous cultivation. That's right, I haven't seen this kind of student for a long time. Although his fighting skills are a little immature, it's very rare for him to be able to do this at his age. Sequence is a kind of exclusive treatment given to special students by the magic capital Hanwoo University. There are 3 levels in total, namely the first sequence, the second sequence, and the third sequence. The first rank has the highest salary, and there are only 3 of them currently in school. The treatment of the second rank is worse, and there are more than 10 people in the whole school who have this rank. The treatment of the third rank is the worst. There are nearly 50 members of the third rank in the whole school. Of course, even the worst third sequence is a student's dream. Well, Zhao King, you put Su Yi in the first rank. Once he signs the contract, the school's resources will be tilted towards him. Vice President Zhang, you are his exclusive tutor, and you are the one to tell him about the change of authority and the signing of the contract. Principal Yao said. He has never judged geniuses by their martial soul level. Only those who meet his requirements will he increase the sequence level. Therefore, even though Su Yi had an SSS level martial soul, he didn't care much when he first enrolled. But now, the opponent has shown the super potential that he has, so he must pay attention to it. Clear. Zhang Daoyuan and Cheng nodded at the same time. Afterwards, a stream of data flashed through Blue's eyes on that day, helping Su Yi to elevate her authority in the background. Principal Yao, how about the line battle? After finishing the business, Li Zhonghai asked casually. Nowadays, although the fierce beasts and humans have stopped large-scale wars and killings, but there are still small-scale battles. Principal Yao, as a king-level fighter, spends most of his time fighting outside. Still deadlocked. Principal Yao said in a deep voice, the Ashes battle group I led has only entered the battlefield for 2 years, and the battle damage has already exceeded 10%. So tragic. Zhang Daoyuan was taken aback. The war group is the main force against the beasts, all composed of soul fighters. The smallest battle group has 4,000 people. Principal Yao's Ashes has more people than the commons, with 5,000 people. Moreover, many of them are geniuses who came out of the Demon City Soul Martial Arts University. For 2 years, the battle losses have been as high as 10%. It is conceivable that the battle losses of other common battle groups must be even greater. Yes, Principal Yao nodded heavily, paused, and said. But it should be soon. The battle damage of the beast camp is higher than ours. I estimate that after another 2 years of fighting, those beast emperors will have to declare a truce. Quote. Then I wish Principal Yao to lead the Ashes War Group and return triumphantly as soon as possible. Zhang Daoyuan and the others looked at each other and congratulated. The principal Feng Wangji is the backbone of the Demon Capital Soul Martial Arts University. If he returns, it will be a blessing to all the teachers and students. Su Yi spent a total of 7 hours at the 3 major practice sites. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening when he came out of the last practice place, the gravity room. This gravity chamber is good, but the use time is too short. Su Yi turned his head and looked behind him. This is a building with only 5 floors. Every room inside has the effect of enhancing military strength. Usually exercise can only exercise to the body surface. And exercising in the gravity room can exercise every cell in the body. If you stay in the gravity room for a long time, it will be difficult for your body to stay strong. But for him now, he can only use the gravity chamber for 10 hours a month. It's impossible to stay there for a long time. After leaving the gravity room, he didn't go back to the dormitory directly, but turned around and went to the tutor's villa area. Before going to the wilderness area, I will meet Mr. Zhang again. It is July now, and Common University has already had summer vacation, and the campus is extremely deserted. However, it is different on the campus of Seoul Martial University in Shanghai, where you can see girls in cool clothes walking together in 2s and 3s everywhere. Some of them still looked at him from time to time. He has long been used to this, but he just avoided looking and quickened his pace. The speed of soul fighters is much faster than that of common people. It only took him 10 minutes to arrive in front of Mr. Yang's villa. Student Su, good evening. At the gate of the ancient villa, the butler also knew Su Yi and greeted him with a smile. Good evening, Mr. Li. Su Yi also greeted respectfully. Don't look at this as just a villa housekeeper, but the other party really owns the peak of Earth Sha. The strength is equivalent to that of the commander-in-chief of the Hangzhou East Defense Military Region. I heard that teacher Zhang saved his life in the wilderness area in the early years, so he is willing to follow. Xiao Su is here, go to the 2nd floor, old Zhang is on the 2nd floor. Walking into the lobby on the 1st floor, several women, as in the past, were sitting on the sofa chatting to pass the time. Said one of the younger-looking women. That is Zhang Daoyuan's wife 09, Wu Zan, also his teacher's wife. Thank you, Mrs. Su Yi thanked her and walked up the stairs. On the 2nd floor, he didn't delay and walked directly to the training room. For most of the night, Mr. Zhang Daoyuan was in the training room. He has already figured out this rule in the past month. Sure enough, as soon as he entered the training room, he saw Zhang Daoyuan's eyes slightly closed, and the darkness around him filled the air. Su Yi felt a palpitation of that terrifying power even after more than 10 meters away. Su Yi is here. Zhang Daoyuan opened his eyes, and a gleam of light flashed through his pupils. Teacher Zhang. Su Yi walked over with a smile. Mr. Zhang, I'm going to go to the wilderness for a while. It probably won't be here for the last 2 months. Quote. Go to the wilderness area to practice. Yes. Zhang Daoyuan was a little surprised, but still nodded slightly to show his agreement. Geniuses born out of battles are true geniuses. No matter how highly simulated the virtual trial is, it still cannot simulate the feeling of fighting to the death with a real beast. It is also a good choice to go to the wilderness area for actual combat experience. Thinking of this, he took out a small talisman from behind. Take this to the wilderness area, and you can't leave your body for a moment. This is. Su Yi took the talisman and opened the tomb carefully. The talisman is not big, only the size of a thumb. The whole body exudes a faint white light, and it feels as warm as jade to the touch. A defensive Horcrux that can save you at a critical moment. Zhang Daoyuan said casually. Horcruxes. Su Yi was taken aback. Horcruxes refer to special items that have been infused with soul power. At critical moments, the soul power inside can be released for protection or attack. And the formation of the Horcrux requires the soul fighters of the Tiangong rank to inject soul power for a year. It can be said that it is very difficult to obtain. Even the Tiangong level soul fighters of common rarely expend soul power for a long time to warm up a Horcrux. Unexpectedly, Teacher Zhang gave himself one directly. "Thank you, Teacher Zhang." Su Yi quickly thanked her. "This is a good thing that can save lives." Zhang Daoyuan nodded slightly, and after seeing Su Yi put away the talisman close to his body, he smiled again and said, "I have good news for you. Because you have entered the 982nd place list, the principal has decided to grant you the first sequence of permissions. This is the contract, you have to look carefully, if there is no problem, then sign it." Quote. Zhang Daoyuan got up and picked up a contract from the side, and handed it over. Although Master Qing has already helped Su Yi elevate the authority in the system. But after this contract takes effect, the first series of benefits will be issued. Is this what Teacher Kai said about resource inclination? Su Yi took it over and watched it carefully. This is the Sequence Genius contract of the Demon Capital Soul Martial Arts University, which is different from the one signed for admission. For example, the fund, the one with the enrollment visa, only the enrollment bonus. Other than that, there is no funding provided. And the contract in front of him has an activity fund of 10 million Washa currency per school year. In addition to funds, there are also various rare resources mentioned by Kai Wei at noon. After reading these benefits, Su Yi read on. Party B, before the end of the first school year, enters the top 20 on the Earth ranking list, and can obtain any series of B-level combat uniforms, a full set of weapons, and any Earth-level primary soul skills. Party B, before the end of the first school year, enters the top 10 in the local rankings, and can obtain any series of A-level combat uniforms, a full set of weapons, and any intermediate soul skills. Party B enters the Disha rank before the end of the second school year, and can obtain any series of S-level combat uniforms, a full set of weapons, and a copy of Dragon Blood worth 100 million. At the end of the contract, there are 3 reward clauses, each of which can be regarded as attractive. But it is also very demanding. Enter the top 10 in the local rankings before the end of the first school year. Su Yi secretly sighed. The top 10 on the Earth ranking list are basically geniuses with the strength of the Earth Evil rank. After 1 month in school, he is no longer the little white who didn't understand anything. All the students who can enter the top 10 in the Magic City Soul Martial Land ranking are extraordinary peaks. And has the ability to leapfrog combat. It is very difficult to enter the top 10 in the local list within a year. However, that is for common students. Su Yi added a sentence in his heart. As long as the soul points are enough, let alone the top 10, even the first place in the list, he can easily get it. The last few clauses are a bit harsh, but it's okay even if you can't complete them. This is not a hard requirement. Zhang Daoyuan's deep voice sounded. In fact, among the 3 first-ranked students in the school, only one can complete the additional clauses. Moreover, only one has been completed. Clear. Su Yi nodded and signed the contract immediately. Then verify your identity on the genetic sequence detector handed over by Mr. Zhang. Ding dong. At the moment of verifying his identity, a message that the bank money has arrived appeared on his mobile phone. Your account has received *Washa currency, and the current balance is 0.43 Washa currency. Is it coming so soon? Su Yi was surprised, but then a little happy. This is 10 million Washa coins. Just by signing a contract, he instantly became a multi-millionaire, richer than his grandfather Su Sheng. Seeing Su Yi with a smile on his face, Zhang Daoyuan also nodded slightly. His apprentice usually looks too mature. Sometimes, it's better to look more like your peers. After being happy, Su Yi also quickly restrained her emotions and regained a calm expression on her face. 10 million may seem like a lot, but in fact, it is not even affordable for one profound level soul skill. More of this money is used for daily consumption. By the way, Mr. Zhang, for a ferocious beast with thick skin and thick flesh, it has its own armor. How should we soul warriors attack to cause the most effective damage? Su Yi asked suddenly. In the virtual trial, if he had a way to break through the defense, he wouldn't be able to kill the armored grizzly bear until he was seriously injured at the last moment. You mean beasts like armored grizzlies, right? Zhang Daoyuan said with a smile. The most important thing to deal with this kind of beast is to be fast. Whether it's the sword technique or the boxing technique, it must be as fast as possible. There are 2 soul skills here, lightning slash, and running thunder hand, are both soul skills that emphasize fast. Zhang Daoyuan took out the 2 soul skills he had prepared. At the virtual meeting at noon, after watching Su Yi's fight video, he discovered that although Su Yi has mastered many soul skills, his body is also very strong. But they all followed a powerful style of play. One advantage of this style of play is that common beasts can basically be killed with a single blow. But this also has a disadvantage, that is, after encountering a fierce beast with extremely strong defense force, it will fall into a difficult state of fighting. Like the armored grizzly bear. Thank you, Teacher Zhang. Su Yi's eyes lit up. As expected of an experienced Fenghu rank powerhouse, he already had a solution. With 2 soul skills, Su Yi left Teacher Yang's villa and returned to the 2nd floor of the dormitory. Turn on the computer, enter the student system, and start to select the tasks that need to be accepted when entering the wilderness area this time. I'm going to stay in the wilderness area for 2 months this time, so it's best to choose a few missions that take longer and have a little more credits. Su Yi looked carefully at the task list in the student system. Half an hour later, he checked 4 tasks. Task: gather 60 poplar branches and dry grass. Time: 60 days. Award: 42 credits. Risk level: high. Recommended grade: extraordinary 7th grade. Quote. Task: collect 50 first order advanced dog teeth. Time: 70 days. Award: 51 credits. Risk level: high. Recommended grade: extraordinary 8th. Task: gather 100 Qingxin grass. Time: 60 days. Award: 64 credits. Risk level: high. Recommended grade: extraordinary tier 6. Quote. Task: collect 10 first order intermediate moonlight wolf skins. Time: 60 days. Award: 56 credits. Risk level: high. Recommended grade: extraordinary 7th grade. 1. These 4 missions are rich in credit rewards, take a long time, and are in line with his current strength. Su Yi checked it carefully for the last time, and after confirming that there was no problem, he immediately clicked the Accept button at the bottom of the interface. Accepting the task, you need to sign the Risk Identification Agreement. Do you accept it? A window popped up with 2 buttons, yes and no, below it. Risk Identification Agreement. Su Yi frowned slightly, clicked the mouse, and opened the above agreement. The agreement was not long, and after spending 2 or 3 minutes browsing through it, he knew the specific content of the agreement. Probably a death risk notice for entering a wilderness area. To choose to accept the mission of the demon capital Seoul Wuda, you need to sign a risk identification agreement. Thus, if a student death in the wilderness area can also give an explanation to the parents of the students. Of course, this agreement is not the same as a disclaimer. It describes in detail the amount of money that the magic capital Seoul Wuda needs to compensate after the student died in the wilderness area. The minimum is 2 million Washa coins. This is much better than common Soul Warrior University. Without hesitation, Su Yi immediately clicked the confirmation button. Common Soul Martial Arts, although it also has the task of hunting wild beasts in the wilderness. But most of them require students to sign a waiver agreement. Even if you die in the wilderness, it has nothing to do with the school. Not to mention any compensation. After clicking the confirm button, a detailed description of these 4 tasks appeared on the information bar of the student system. There is also a countdown to completion time. It's done, it's time to prepare the equipment for going to the wilderness area. Battle clothes, potions, swords, tactical backpacks, compressed biscuits, fresh water resources, all of these must be brought. Su Yi was just about to pack her things when her cell phone rang. I checked the caller ID, it was Soda. After one click, the voice of Grandpa Su Sheng came from the other end of the phone. Xiao Yi, how are you doing? How are you doing at school? Yes, the teacher is very responsible, and the students are also very friendly. Su Yi smiled. Those who are not friendly have been defeated. That's good, Grandpa Su Sheng said with a smile. I'm calling this time to tell you that the admission results of Su Yu and Su Hao are out. Oh, What school did you get admitted to? Su Yi's eyes lit up. The college entrance examination for those who awakened the common spirit had ended as early as June 9th. The rest of the time is spent filling out volunteers and waiting for the admission notice. Unexpectedly, the admission results were announced today. It's all pretty good. Su Yu was admitted to the Seoul Martial Arts University in your demon capital. Su Hao was a bit short. He didn't get into the Seoul Warrior University in the Demon City, but he was also admitted to the nearby Jiading Seoul Warrior University. When they arrive in Shanghai, you, the big brother, have to take care of them. Grandpa Su Sheng's words could not contain the joy. Okay. Su Yi also smiled slightly. Su Yu's situation was within his expectations, but Jia's situation was somewhat beyond his expectations. There are a total of 3 Seoul martial arts colleges in Modu. Modu Seoul Martial Arts College, Jiading Seoul Martial Arts College, and Songjiang Seoul Martial Arts College. Among them, Seoul Martial Arts University in Shanghai is a top college, ranking among the top 3 in the country. Jiading Seoul Martial Arts University is also good, ranking in the top 50 in the country. Songjiang Seoul Martial Arts University is the worst, ranking around 100 in the country. He originally thought that Su Hao would eventually be admitted to Songjiang Seoul Martial Arts University, but he did not expect to be admitted to Jiading Seoul Martial Arts University. It seems that this kid has worked hard. After talking on the phone with Grandpa Su Sheng, Su Yi continued to organize the equipment. After spending half an hour sorting out all the equipment for the wilderness area, he received another call from Zhu Jinyu, saying that he was waiting for him downstairs. Zhu Jinyu, girl, didn't you say you're going to be singled out tonight? Why do we have to meet downstairs again? After hanging up the phone, Su Yi came to number 8 Villa Dormitory with doubts. It's 10 o'clock at night. It was completely dark, and the street lights on the road to the dormitory in District 1 had already been turned on. And just under the streetlight in front of number 8 dormitory, stood a fair-skinned girl. The girl has a charming face, wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, and her long hair is beautiful black, which is tied up high with a bunch of red silk. She was wearing a gray knitted blouse on her upper body, and her chest was fully supported by her full breasts. She was wearing a short black skirt, and her exposed thighs were round and slender. A beautiful face, coupled with an exquisite and proud figure. When some students passed by here, they would look at her with amazed eyes. It seems that you didn't ask me to single out. Su Yi walked up with a smile. The girl here is none other than Zhu Jinyu. It's more than 1,000 short, how could it beat you? I didn't expect to be taught a lesson by you. Zhu Jinyu smiled. Let's go, take a stroll with me. As the top university of soul fighters in China, Seoul Martial Arts University, the capital city, has a very beautiful environment. There are not only classical pavilions for enjoying the shade everywhere in the college, but also trees that emit a quiet fragrance are planted on both sides of all roads. At this time, Su Yi and Zhu Jinyu were walking side by side on the fragrant road outside the one dormitory area. Neither of them spoke, but they didn't look awkward, instead there was an inexplicable sense of harmony. Su Yi, why are you so strong? Zhu Jinyu spoke first, with a rather complicated expression on his face. Maybe I have better talent, and I usually work harder, so that's why I'm improving faster. Su Yi scratched his head. He can feel that Zhu Jinyu's current state is not right. She used to be a lively and lovely type. But now, there is an indescribable sense of heaviness. Is that so? Zhu Jinyu was a little disappointed. Whether it is junior high school or high school, since the beginning of training, she has always been the most excellent one in school. After awakening an SS-level martial spirit, she thought she would do the same when she went to university. However, the appearance of Su Yi, who has no background, shattered her pride all along. Subconsciously, she looked at Su Yi who was walking beside her again. He has a strong figure, a resolute and handsome appearance, and the dazzling breath of life and a faint sense of oppression emanating from his body. Just by looking at it, you can feel the obvious difference between Su Yi and others of her age. Perhaps, his talent is really weak enough to make up for the gap in resources between us. Zhu Jinyu said silently in his heart. As a gifted girl, although she is proud, she is not someone who cannot see reality clearly. The ranking of 982 has already revealed the terrifying gap between the two. Perhaps, This is the real genius. Thinking of this, Zhu Jinyu's red lips curled up, and a lively and lovely smile appeared on her brow again. Su Yi, just wait, I will definitely surpass you. Zhu Jinyu's clear eyes under the glasses were full of fighting spirit. In the past, among her peers, no one could compare to her. The appearance of Su Yi shattered her pride all along. But it also brought new goals for her. That is, beyond Su Yi. Then, stomp him hard. Okay. Although she didn't know why Zhu Jinyu's mood suddenly changed, Su Yi was also happy, and casually gave a word of encouragement. Even though the night in July in Shanghai was much cooler than the daytime, it was still a bit hot. So many students who practiced for a day went outside to drink cold beer and relax. At this time, some drunken boys happened to be walking on the road, facing Su Yi and the others, walking towards the dormitory. Hey, look, that girl over there is so pretty. Wow, really, this appearance, this waist-to-hip ratio, it's superb. If she can be my girlfriend, I'm willing to do anything. Didn't you see? There is a boy next to them, maybe that is her boyfriend. So what? With Westbrook here, even if we have a boyfriend, we still can't be taken down on the spot. The group of students who had been drinking didn't speak loudly, but both Su Yi and Zhu Jinyu's bodies had been strengthened by their soul power. Therefore, these words still reached their ears. The two frowned at the same time. No one would be in a good mood to be judged by others. Suddenly, one of the group of people walked towards Su Yi and the others. This beauty, can you do me a favor and play with us? There are many handsome guys here. Walking over was a handsome man in white casual clothes. If it wasn't for the smell of alcohol, maybe it could really attract some girls. Zhu Jinyu almost laughed angrily when he heard this. At such a big age, no one dared to tease her like this. When she was about to attack, Su Yi's deep voice came from beside her. Give you 3 seconds, get out of my sight. At this time Su Yi was a little annoyed. Zhu Jinyu's lively and lovely character suits his appetite. Seeing her a little lonely just now, he still worried about how to make her happy. Unexpectedly, she recovered by herself later. However, the appearance of this person is likely to make Zhu Jinyu's mood worse. How can he bear this? The handsome man looked Su Yi up and down, searched his memory for a moment, and found that there was no such person. Then he spoke arrogantly again. Boy, don't you know me? If you are sensible, just go by yourself, don't make troubles embarrassing. Quote. Su Yi frowned. Deathwing's passive talent Longwei burst out suddenly. The man closest to him felt as if he was being targeted by a powerful beast, and instantly sobered up. Goosebumps stand on end, and I dare not even move. He will die, he will definitely die if he is provoked. All the cells in the man's body were sending out warnings. I was wrong, I'm leaving right now. The man tremblingly confessed his guilt, then quickly turned around and fled. Yo, our master Sus aura is very strong. Zhu Jinyu turned her beautiful eyes and joked. General, but dealing with this kind of students is still very easy. Su Yi shrugged and smiled. Even in the top magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University, there will be scumbag students. Unfortunately, they just met one of them. On the other side, the white-clothed man who returned to his companion became more and more annoyed. Why was he frightened back? Hey, it seems that Westbrook also misses sometimes. Tisk tisk, that woman is not so easy to deal with at first glance, and it is normal to miss. Listening to the comments of his companions, Zhou Wei, who has always had a good face, felt a little embarrassed. I am a dignified extraordinary 7th-level soul warrior, and I was scared back immediately before I even made a move. When did I, Zhou Wei, ever feel so cowardly? No, you must kill and vent your anger. Brothers, I was bullied just now, go, fight back with me, breath. Although Zhou Wei was angry, he was not a fool. Knowing that Su Yi was weird, he naturally couldn't go up alone. There are 6 of them in this group, and their average level is around extraordinary 6th order. No matter what is weird about Su Yi, he can suppress it with force. Westbrook was actually bullied. Let's go, find a place. Let's go. A group of people walked towards Su Yi aggressively, smelling of alcohol. Although it was 9 o'clock in the evening, there were still many students on the school road. It was discovered that some students could not help but exclaim when they looked at this menacing group of people. It's Zhou Wei and the others. Tisk, this dude is looking for trouble again. Oh, bad luck for that couple. Quick, hurry up and notify the law enforcement team to come over. Zhou Wei, the son of Zhou Quan, the Tiangong level tutor of the School of Botany. Relying on the fact that he has a mentor father, he often looks for things in school. Even if the crime is sometimes caught by the law enforcement team, if Zhou Quan comes forward, it will eventually be settled. Master Su, it seems that your aura is not working, they are here again. Looking at the group of people walking this way, the Dr. Jinyu covered her mouth and smiled lightly. It seems that I really didn't take my warning seriously. Su Yi felt helpless. He had encountered many such things in high school before. In the end, it was often those people who cried and shouted to stop beating. You three, me three, how about it? Su Yi moved his body, and the golden red soul power diffused from him. The hideous phantom of Deathwing also emerged. Leave the one in white clothes alone, he's so disgusting. Zhu Jinyu's eyes flashed, and the Qingyan sword was already in his hand. Good. Su Yi's eyes were cold. Hee, what confidence do I have in you? It turns out that you are a dragon martial soul. The leader Zhou Wei shouted disdainfully, but you are a third-order extraordinary, so what if you have a dragon-like martial spirit, can you still eat me? Giant tree vines. Behind him, more than a dozen green vines suddenly appeared between the virtual and the real, flying all over the sky like swimming snakes. The power is astounding. I won't eat you up, but it's okay to let you lie down for a month. Su Yi stepped forward, Jin Hong's soul power lingered, and appeared in front of Zhou Wei with a whoosh. What? So fast? Zhou Wei's face changed drastically in an instant, and before he could react, he saw a huge fist in his pupils. Boom! While the nosebleeds were splashing, Su Yi punched him 10 meters away. In the end, it flew down in the grass, not knowing whether it was alive or dead. Westbrook, so strong. Unexpectedly, even the strongest Zhou Wei couldn't match the opponent's punch. His companions were startled, looking at Su Yi under the light with a smirk on his mouth. He subconsciously swallowed his saliva and vaguely retreated. Brother, I think there is some misunderstanding between us. A tall, thin man tremblingly tried to explain. But they found that Su Yi rushed towards him like a ghost. Boom, boom, the two were blasted to the grass. Hey, wait for me anyway. Only then did Zhu Jinyu walk over slowly. The light scar sword turned into a phantom, and under the horrified eyes of the remaining 3 people. Use the blade of the sword to shoot the 3 of them down directly. Boring. Zhu Jinyu stretched her waist, and her thin sweater immediately outlined a thrilling arc. Although these people are all of extraordinary 6th and 7th ranks of soul power. But the physical fitness is extremely poor, and the reaction is too slow. In terms of actual combat power, I'm afraid they don't even have the 3rd rank of extraordinary. There was no way to get her interested. Hiss, dragon-like martial spirit and sword-like martial spirit, this couple is so fierce. This strength is a bit strong. Hee, Zhou Wei and his group have hit the iron plate. The whole process from Su Yi and Zhu Jinyu's attack to defeating the 6 players did not take more than 5 seconds. Many onlookers were hooked. After all, not everyone has the ability to leapfrog combat. Hurry up, let's go, the law enforcement team is here. Suddenly, someone shouted loudly, obviously to remind Su Yi and the others. Then let's go first. Although they were reasonable at this time, they beat someone after all, and he didn't want to get involved with the law enforcement team before he left. The 2 left quickly, and after running far away, they stood still in a pavilion. I didn't expect our Master Su to escape in such a panic. In the pavilion, Zhu Jinyu narrowed his eyes and said something strange. People in the arena involuntarily. Su Yi looked indifferent. Ha 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 ha, Su Yi, you are so funny. Seeing Su Yi's serious look, Zhu Jinyu burst out laughing. The silver bell-like laughter echoed in the pavilion, and her plump breasts heaved up and down. Cough cough. Su Yi coughed dryly, trying not to look over there. But he found that it was really difficult. Simply look at it with appreciative eyes. Does it look good? Suddenly, a clear voice came. Nice. Su subconsciously replied. After feeling something was wrong, when he looked up, he saw Zhu Jinyu's big clear eyes looking straight at him. And on her charming face, there was also a bit of shame, and a bit of anger. I mean that tree behind you is pretty. Su Yi said in a hurry. Hee, Zhu Jinyu snorted coldly on the surface, but his heart was a little excited. She can judge a person's emotions and desires by the breath of life, and just now, she finally saw the existence of desire from Su Yi's breath of life. It seems that Su Yi still has feelings for me. Single quote. For a moment, Zhu Jinyu felt that he had finally regained face from the scene of the first meeting. By the way, you are going to the wilderness area, then I will give you this. Zhu Jinyu took a necklace from his neck and put it in Su Yi's hand. You have to remember, this necklace can't leave your body for a moment. Is this a Horcrux? Zhu Jinyu's body temperature and the scent of virginity still remained on the necklace, but what surprised Su Yi even more was the familiar fluctuation of soul power. It's the same as the talisman given by Mr. Zhang Daoyuan. Zhu Jinyu nodded slightly. This Horcrux can save your life 3 times at critical moments. Of course, it is limited to attacks below the Fenghu rank. Quote. You gave me the defensive Horcrux, so what do you do? Moreover, I already have a Horcrux given by Teacher Zhang. Quote. Su Yi frowned, and quickly pushed back. Although the Magic Capital Seoul Martial Arts University is very safe, there will be accidents if it is not guaranteed. He didn't want Zhu Jinyu to have any accidents because he didn't have a Horcrux. Teacher Zhang is Teacher Zhang, and I am me. You must accept this Horcrux. Zhu Jinyu was surprisingly firm at this time. Besides, I still have several such Horcruxes in my hands, so don't worry. She waved her hand. Several ornaments that also exuded fluctuations in soul power appeared in her palm. Space Horcrux. Su Yi's eyes almost popped out. Among the Horcruxes, there is a special Horcrux that can store items, which is called a Space Horcrux. This kind of Horcrux is very rare. When he himself found this information, he was still wondering when he could have one. Unexpectedly, Zhu Jinyu has one in hand now. All of a sudden, he had a better understanding of the strength of the family behind Zhu Jinyu. And, just accept it, it's more dangerous for you to go to the wilderness. Like coaxing a child, Zhu Jinyu said with a smile. Su Yi's face was a little strange when he heard this. Am I adopted by a rich woman? Seeing that Zhu Jinyu didn't lack this Horcrux, Su Yi didn't insist anymore and accepted the Horcrux. After that, I chatted with her for a while before returning to the dormitory area. Su Yi, 2 months later, when you come back from the wilderness area, I will come to you to compete again. At that time, you can't put water. Quote. In front of Villa number 8, Zhu Jinyu made a promise with a playful smile on her pretty face. Sure, Su Yi smiled. See you in those 2 months. I wish you a fruitful harvest in the wilderness. Zhu Jinyu waved his hand, then turned around and walked towards the opposite dormitory with his round and slender jade legs. Under the illumination of the lights, her slim figure and perfect waist-to-hip ratio were extremely revealing. It's 10:30 in the evening, and I can still train for an hour when I go back. However, extreme training cannot be carried out today, and tomorrow we have to get up early and set off for the Dongjiang Wilderness area. Quote. After watching Zhu Jinyu enter the dormitory, Su Yi turned and walked into her dormitory without delay. For a school, cultivating excellent students is a very worthy of publicity. Conducive to expanding the influence and popularity of the school. Therefore, under the promotion of Vice President Li Zhonghai, Su Yi, a prospective freshman, entered the top 1,000 in the local list. And the thing that was included in the first sequence quickly spread throughout the campus. Did you see the announcement on the official website last night? A famous special recruit has been included in the first rank. I see, I rushed to the top 1,000 in the first month of enrollment. It's not surprising that this talent is listed as the first sequence. That's right, I heard that the freshman named Su Yi is an SSS level martial soul awakener, so he is talented. SSS level martial soul awakener, no wonder. The next morning, at a breakfast stand in the school, the students queuing up were all discussing this matter, and they were very emotional during their conversations. The world of geniuses is different from the world of ordinary students after all. My friend, what are you talking about? Behind the line, a handsome young man with slightly longer hair asked doubtfully. Why does this name sound a bit like the junior I met before? It's Senior Li Yao. The person in front smiled and said, yesterday, there was a special recruit who just entered this year, rushed to the top 1,000 on the local list, and was also included in the first rank. For details, you can check the official website. Quote. Li Yao, the vice president of Martial Arts Club, knows many people. Oh, Li Yao's eyes lit up. He quickly took out his phone and logged into the official website. He has been training hard since returning from the wilderness a month ago. Recently, he has retreated for 3 consecutive days, specializing in soul skills. I didn't expect to hear such explosive news when I went out to buy breakfast this morning. Hiss, Su Yi, freshman, it's really that elementary school boy I met before. Looking at the message on the phone, Li Yao's eyes widened. He didn't expect such a coincidence. That's right, if he didn't have any special qualities, he wouldn't be offered by the daughter of the birth family. That day, after meeting Su Yi and Zhu Jinyu at the breakfast stall, he was planning to go back and check Su Yi's identity. As a result, I just forgot about it when I encountered other things. Only now do I remember. No, I have to hurry up and discuss with the president how to bring him into our club. Otherwise, if such an excellent talent is snatched away by other clubs, it will be troublesome. Thinking of this, he didn't even bother to buy breakfast, and went straight to the direction of the president's dormitory. At the gate of the Demon City Soul Martial Academy. Even though it was only 8 o'clock in the morning, there were quite a few people at the door, looking very lively. Among them, a few are locals, and more are not tourists from other provinces. It is a pity for many people not to come to the magic capital to take a look at the Seoul Martial Arts University. Even if you can't enter, it doesn't prevent everyone from paying their respects to this top school in China. Just a school gate makes many people feel that this trip is worthwhile. At this moment, a group of 5 people walked out from the gate of the Demon City Soul Martial Academy. This group of people were all wearing combat uniforms and carrying backpacks behind them. This team is all composed of girls who seem to be only about 18 or 19 years old. The leader was a black-haired slim girl. But behind her, there was a huge Fengtian painting halberd slung across her shoulders. The contrast between the slender girl and the thick alloy weapon made many tourists around look surprised. Captain, didn't you tell me to pay attention to the newcomer last time, because our team needs fresh blood? Now we have this person. In the team, a girl with shoulder-length short hair smiled and took out her mobile phone, and clicked on the announcement on the official website. Specially recruited Su Yi, top 1000 on the local list, SSS level Martial Soul Awakener, First Order Authority. How about it, do you want to pull him into our team? Xiaoying, didn't you agree that we will only add female players to our team? Why recommend a boy to come in now? Don't tell me, are you yearning for spring? A tall girl joked with a smile. Ling Ling, the shoulder-length short-haired girl from before stared. I'm also thinking about our team. One more player with a combat power in the top 1000 will make it easier for us in the wilderness. Among the 5 members of the Blazing Phoenix team, only the Captain Song Chiran is the top leader. The rest of the team members are all around 1,200. We are going to the Dongjiang Wilderness area soon, so we will not consider adding new players for the time being. The leading team leader, Song Chiran, said indifferently, when I get back, I will personally inspect this SSS level Martial Soul Awakener. If he is really that excellent, it is not impossible to consider pulling him into our team. Quote. Yes, both of them shivered and nodded. Are you a special recruit with an SSS level Martial Soul? I hope you will satisfy me by then. Song Chiran murmured in a low voice. The entire Blazing Phoenix team is made of her as the attacker. The rest of the team members, although their damage is good, their sustain is a lot worse. In the past, although the speed of killing ferocious beasts was slower, it was still acceptable. But as she entered the 9th rank of Extraordinary, when she wanted to kill stronger beasts, she found that the strength of her team members could no longer match her. Therefore, she urgently needs a strong attacker like her now. At least, it must be in the top 10 leaders of the land list. And Aja, the awakened martial soul, can't be bad. After all, she herself is an S-rank martial soul. If the Wuhun level is too low, there will also be a problem of poor coordination. The appearance of Su Yi just solved her problem. As for the male identity of the other party, although she really didn't want to admit it, in terms of physical fitness, men are indeed much stronger than women. If Su Yi joins, she will not have to worry about the opponent's physical fitness and endurance. In the tutor's villa area, a villa with side walls covered with green plants and vines hanging down from the roof to the ground. First sequence, top 1000. 10,000 Beasts Academy has another monstrous student. In the hall of the villa, Joji frowned. Beast Academy, Arms Academy, Botanical Academy, and the three major academies of Magic City also compete with each other. In the past, the School of Beasts was the strongest, and the School of Botany was the bottom. Now, 10,000 Beasts Academy has another talented student, how can he not be worried? Next year, the resources allocated to the School of Botany may decrease again. Jo Kwon sighed. Dad, you have to make the decision for me. Suddenly, a cry came from the door of the villa. What are you shouting for? Isn't that embarrassing enough? As soon as he heard this voice, Jo Kwon knew that his prodigal son was in trouble again. Dad, I was beaten. Jo Wei entered the hall in an electric wheelchair. He was bandaged all over his body, only his eyes were exposed. It looked miserable. Who dares to hit my Jo Kwon's son? Although he usually makes troubles for himself, Xing is actually his own son. Seeing his son in such a miserable state, Jo Kwon became angry instantly. It's Su Yi, I drank some wine with my classmates last night and talked a little louder on the road. Then I was beaten by that Su Yi. Jo Wei has a thick skin, and instantly changed himself into the role of the victim. Su Yi, which Su Yi? Jo Kwon was startled, and his anger disappeared. I asked someone to check, he is a special student this year, and he has no background behind him. Jo Wei said viciously. Last night, he was beaten into a coma with serious injuries, and was sent to the school doctor by the law enforcement team. When he woke up, it was already 6 o'clock in the morning. He hurriedly used Su Yi's characteristics last night to ask someone to inquire, but unexpectedly, he actually inquired about the other party's name and some simple information. That's why I came to the villa in a hurry, wanting to use my father's strength to vent my anger for myself. Su Yi, new student. Jo Kwon's face changed instantly, and the aura of a strong Tiangong rank pervaded instantly. Does he still have a dragon-like martial soul? Yes, it is. Jo Wei was taken aback. Although he didn't know why his father knew each other, he felt that something was wrong. Whoosh! A green shadow flashed past, and with a buzzing sound, Jo Wei was caught in the air by a vine exuding terrifying power. Dad, feeling the tighter and tighter vines, Jo Wei panicked. Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm going to teach you a lesson today, you bastard. Jo Kwon snorted coldly, and more than 10 slender vines flew up behind him. Usually, it's fine if you make some small troubles. But you, unexpectedly offended Su Yi. Did you know that just last night, he was listed as the first sequence? That's the first rank. There are only 4 first ranks in the whole school. Even your father, I dare not mess with him, how dare you provoke him? If I don't teach you a lesson, I don't know how much trouble you will cause in the future. Crack, 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 one after another, the slender vines lashed Jo Wei's body fiercely with a fishy wind. With Jo Kwon Tiangong's control power, it is very easy to control these vines, and at the same time, it will not hurt Jo Wei's muscles and bones while throbbing the pain. Dad, I was wrong. I'm still hurt. Quote. At this time, Jo Wei realized that he had offended someone he shouldn't have offended. But it was too late to beg for mercy at this time. After a long absence, he once again felt the heavy fatherly love from Jo's body. Clubs, teams, mentors. The entire Demon Capital Seoul Martial Arts University became active because Su Yi was included in the first rank. But he himself had already left the Magic Capital Seoul Martial Arts University, and went to the Dongjong Wilderness area. Dongjong District is one of the more prosperous districts among the 10 administrative districts of Shanghai. And just over 30 kilometers away from Dongjong District, there is a wilderness area where fierce beasts are rampant. In it, you can hunt beast meat, beast materials, and various herbs and fruits with magical powers. Therefore, a large number of soul fighters gathered here to hunt and kill ferocious beasts to obtain materials. The gathering of a large number of soul warriors and the trading of various materials naturally also drove the economic development of Dongjong District. This is why Dongjong District is the farthest from the Demon City District, and is facing the threat of fierce beast invasion. But still the reason why it is so prosperous. 40 kilometers away from the center of Dongjong District, there is a supply base with a height of 66 floors. Here is the last supply station for soul warriors to go to the wilderness area. Boom. The bulletproof train stopped in front of the supply base. A number of soul warriors wearing combat uniforms, carrying weapons and shields behind their backs stepped out of the train one after another, and there were more than 20 people. These 20 people were naturally divided into 3 teams, and only a few soul warriors were alone. Among these people, there was a tall young man with a firm face, a tactical backpack on his back, and a faint sense of oppression all over his body. On the right chest of his black battle suit, there is a gorgeous black and gold phoenix with wings spread out. This young man was none other than Su Yi, who left the magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University and came to Dongjong District. Here is the supply base. Su Chen looked up at the building in front of him. The height of this building is at least 200 meters. On the front of the building, Long Fei Fengwu is inlaid with the 6 characters of Dongjong Supply Base. And on the top of the building, one can vaguely see a huge object that exudes strong soul energy fluctuations and is shaped like an eyeball. The detective eye. Su Yi's eyes flashed. The detective eye is a large horcrux that Huasha Kingdom will equip in every wilderness area. Through it, you can observe the activity status of wild beasts. To enter the wilderness area, you need to go to the supply base to register as an adventurer. Su Yi glanced to the left again. There is a huge checkpoint 500 meters away from the base. All soul fighters who enter the wilderness area must pass the checkpoint to authenticate their identity before they can enter. Withdrawing his gaze, he walked towards the entrance of the lobby on the first floor of the supply base. "Sir, please come in." The doorman at the entrance of the base hall saluted respectfully. Su Yi directly stepped into the base building. As soon as he stepped into the supply base, a quiet fragrance penetrated into his nostrils, which lifted his spirits. Then, looking around, the scene of the entire hall can be seen at a glance. As long as there are wilderness areas, there will be supply bases. This is also the result of the joint efforts of various superfamilies and financial groups in Huasha Kingdom. As the last supply base for soul warriors before entering the wilderness area, the entire building was built to be extremely luxurious. The ground is made of a special alloy, which is extremely hard. In the hall, many waiters shuttled among them. The men were handsome, and the women were beautiful and moving. In addition, there are many sofas in the hall, and at this time, there are a large number of soul warriors in battle clothes sitting on them. "Sir, is there anything important to you?" A beautiful female waiter came up slowly. After seeing the Phoenix logo on the right side of Su Yi's battle suit, her eyes lit up, and the smile on her face became even brighter. "I want to apply for adventurer identification." Su Yi also noticed the change in the other party's gaze, but he was not surprised. Dongjong Wilderness Area is the only small wilderness area near Shanghai. Students from the only 3 Soul Warrior universities in Shanghai will basically come here to practice. And as long as they are students of the Soul Warrior University, they will buy combat uniforms with the school emblem at the school. This is a tradition of identity, but also a deterrent. After all, in the wilderness area, there are not only fierce beasts to guard against, but also other soul fighters. With the backing of the school, some lawbreakers will be afraid. As for Su Yi, as the number 1 among the 3 schools, a student of the top school in the country, Mordu Hanwu University. In this supply base, they are obviously the most popular kind of people. "Okay, please follow me." The procedure for the adventurer identification is very simple. In less than 10 minutes, Su Yi entered her own information. "Sir, you still need to wait for half an hour before you can get your adventurer identification card. During this time, you can sit in the rest area," the staff said softly. "Okay." Su Yi nodded, and sat down on an empty sofa in the hall. Then carefully observe the other soul warriors in the hall. In the hall, there are many young students from the 3 colleges. Although most of these people looked young, they exuded a fierce aura all over their bodies. Obviously a veteran who often goes in and out of wilderness areas. There are also some with novel faces, looking around with curious eyes. Like this, it is obviously the same as myself, it is the first time to come here. "Student, is this your first time visiting this kind of supply base?" Suddenly, a tall and thin man in a gray battle suit with a smile on his face came into his sight. On the right chest of his battle suit, there is an emblem composed of a knife and a sword. That is the school emblem of Jiading Hunwu University. Is there something wrong? Su Chen nodded without denying it. As an adventurer, you can register at any supply base. As long as you register once, it will be available nationwide. And he went to register as an adventurer as soon as he came in, and he was found to be a rookie who entered the supply base for the first time. Brother, that's right. Here I have a map that records the distribution of high-level ferocious beasts in the wilderness area. I wonder if you want it. By the way, my name is Li Gao. Seeing Su Yi nodding, Li Gao immediately became active, showing a very enthusiastic expression. A map of the wilderness area that records high-level beasts. Su Chen frowned. Can you show me first? Sure. I saw Li Gao click on the smartwatch in his right hand, and a light blue map was projected in the air. Although this is only a part of the original map, it should be enough for you to see the truth. Quote. Su Chen nodded slightly, and then carefully examined the map. Although the Dongjiang Wilderness Area is a small wilderness area, it covers an area the size of a common base city. On this map, only about 1/20th of the area is recorded. Mountains, plains, and grasslands are clearly described above. In addition, there are several places highlighted in red. Next to the red mark, there are detailed information about the beast. With such a map, you can bypass most of the dangerous beast areas in the wilderness area. Don't worry about your own safety at all. When Su Yi was looking at the map, Li Gao beamed and introduced. How much do you sell such a map? Su Yi asked. Not expensive, only 50,000 Huasha coins. Li Gao said with a smile. 50,000 Huasha coins, so expensive. Su Yi pretended to be surprised on the surface, but Yin snorted coldly in his heart. When he first entered school, he knew through the school forum that no matter which supply base it was, distribution maps of high-level ferocious beasts in nearby wilderness areas will be distributed. And what Li Gao showed him just now is exactly the same as the official Dongjiang Wilderness Area map on the forum. Unexpectedly, when I first came to the wilderness area, I encountered such a thing. Single quote. Su Yi's eyes were cold. If you don't know that the supply base will distribute maps for free, you might be cheated. Brother, it's only 50,000 Huasha coins, it's not expensive anymore. Besides, with such a map, your safety in the wilderness area will rise sharply. Can this be exchanged for money? Li Gao tried his best to persuade him as if he was thinking of others. Did you fool a lot of people with this trick? Su Yi said suddenly. Li Gao was stunned for a moment, then his smile narrowed, his eyes narrowed. You already knew. What do you think? Su Yi smiled playfully. Okay, no one has dared to play with me like this for a long time. A dangerous aura emanated from Li Gao's body. He looked at the badge on Su Yi's chest, and said with a sneer. Students from Seoul Martial Arts University in the Devil's Capital, right? No wonder you dare to do this. But you have to know that this place is not the gentle back garden of your school. Here, if you offend someone who shouldn't be offended, you will die. Quote. Speaking of the latter, his voice was as cold as ice. Li Gao, you're cheating newcomers here again. At this moment, a team of 4 walked in from the door, and the girl in the lead uttered a yell. This girl has exquisite facial features, a slender waist, and a tall figure. She is wearing a light gray Silver Fox Series combat uniform. Under the tight outline of the Silver Fox Series combat uniform, her figure looks uneven, full of femininity, and on the chest position on the right side of her battle uniform, there is also a sword emblem. Obviously also a student of Jiading Soul Warrior University. Chen Wan, seeing this woman, a trace of fear flashed across Li Gao's face, and he said coldly. What do you mean I cheated newcomers again? I just sold a map, and besides, he didn't buy it. After finishing speaking, he gave Su Yi a vicious stare, and turned to leave. That's it. Su Yi was a little boring. Originally, I wanted to teach this guy who cheated me a lesson, but unexpectedly, the other party didn't dare to make a move. Let's say a few words less. There are people in Li Gao's supply base. If you offend him, there will be no good end. Quote. Chen Wanshou frowned slightly. She can't understand Li Gao cheating under the name of Jiading Soul Warrior University, so she usually reminds him when encountering such things. But the students who were reminded this time did not seem to realize the seriousness of the matter. No one cares about this. Su Yi frowned. Why bother? Chen Wan said indifferently, For newbies, their memory is also good. In the future, with more eyes in case of trouble, the survival rate in the wilderness is also higher. Spending 50,000 yuan to buy a lesson is considered cheap. Quote, those who can come to the wilderness area are at least 3rd and 4th order extraordinary soul fighters. 50,000 yuan is really easy for them to earn. Okay, I've said everything I need to say. If you meet Li Gao in the future, go around the point, or go directly to the supply base. Inside, there is a special law enforcement team, and he dare not do anything. Quote. Chen Wan reminded. Thank you for reminding. Su Yi smiled lightly, with a relaxed expression on his face. Seeing Su Yi's indifferent look, Chen Wan frowned and shook her head. Then he took his own team and walked towards the front desk. While walking, I also sighed with emotion. He is handsome and has a strong body. Unfortunately, it's just too crazy. With such a character, the next time you meet Li Gao, you might really offend him. But she didn't care too much. She had already reminded Su Yi that Su Yi didn't appreciate it, and there was nothing she could do about it. If Su Yi knew about Chen Wan's thoughts, she would definitely call her innocent. It's not that he is too arrogant, but that Li Gao, a liar, has nothing to fear him at all. After all, the real combat power of the 8th rank of extraordinary can already be regarded as a top powerhouse in this small wilderness area. Ding Yi, Mr. Su, your adventurer certificate. Half an hour after Chen Wan left, the female staff member came up slowly. A pair of beautiful eyes, charming like a spring water. When performing adventurer certification, the system will record the martial soul and level of strength possessed by the soul warrior. And just now, she secretly glanced at the system, and suddenly found that the little brother recorded on it had awakened an SSS level martial soul. Even though she awakened only an F-rank waste martial soul, she also graduated from Common University. But that doesn't mean she doesn't know the weight of an SSS level martial soul. This is the big man of the future. Thinking of this, the heat in her eyes deepened again. Thanks. Su Yi thanked her and was about to take the certificate from her hand. She suddenly let out an "ah," and she was powerless and fell towards Su Yi. Su Yi frowned, and gently exerted force with both hands to support her steady. Sorry, I'm a little hypoglycemic. The female staff had an apologetic look on their face. Su Yi glanced at her arm tightly held by the other party, and the other party's rosy and healthy face, and was a little speechless. The acting is too bad. It's okay, remember to add sugar on time in the future. Su Yi pulled out his arm without moving, 697. Otherwise, the girl would always hug his arm and rub against his chest, making it difficult for people to think calmly. Very itchy. Seeing this, the female staff member was a little disappointed, but she quickly reacted, and said in a shy voice. I'll be staying in room 302 here at night, you are welcome to come and help me replenish my sugar. After speaking, she stuffed the adventurer certification card and an unknown card into Su Yi's arms. Then with a wink, the group hurriedly left here. Are all the girls nowadays so bold? Su Yi glanced at another card, and it was the key card of room 302. However, what he didn't know was, for the common people, an A-level soul warrior is the sign of a great person. An SSS-level soul fighters are existences that they dare not even think about. It's normal to have this action. Su Yi wasn't interested in looking for a girl, so she casually stuffed the rune card into her backpack. Then check his other card, Adventurer Identity Verification. This is a black gold card, on which basic information such as his name and certification agency are recorded. Key information such as the level of the martial soul and the strength of the soul fighter are not recorded on it. After confirming that this adventurer's identity verification is fine, Su Yi didn't stay any longer, turned around and walked out of the lobby on the first floor. Outside the supply base is a vast square. In this square, there are many soul warriors walking hurriedly. There are also some who stay on the square, seeming to be taking a final rest. Out. Seeing Su Yi walking out of the hall, Li Gao in the square narrowed his eyes, and quickly approached there. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we will enter the wilderness area later, so we need to speed up our progress. In order to ensure the absolute safety of the Dongjiang administrative area, the wilderness area within 5 kilometers from the administrative area has been cleared. Only by crossing this area can one truly come to the area where the beasts are densely populated. At Su Yi's current walking speed, he entered the wilderness area, and it took about 2 or 3 hours to get there. Boy, you don't think you can enter the wilderness area so easily after playing tricks on me. Suddenly, with a cold voice, Li Gao appeared in front of Su Yi. There was a cold light in his not-so-good-looking eyes. Oh, Su Yi frowned, I thought you were gone, but you were waiting for me here. Tell me, how do you want to pay for my mental damage? Seeing Li Gao, a faint smile appeared on his face. If one ignores the tall figure and the slight sense of oppression exuding from the whole body, he looks like a handsome and sunny young man of common. What mental damage fee? Li Gao lost his temper. No way. Did you forget what you said in the lobby so quickly? The corner of Su Yi's mouth twitched slightly. What you said before scared me. Therefore, you have to compensate me for mental damage. Quote. What he said was plausible and clear. Looking for death. Angry wolf. Li Gao was furious when he heard this. The tyrannical soul power belonging to the Sixth Order Extraordinary Soul Warrior burst out suddenly, and condensed into a phantom of a giant wolf behind him. Didn't you want mental damage? When I beat you to a disability, I will compensate you together with the medical expenses. He kicked with his right leg horizontally, bringing a strong wind towards Su Yi's waist. Too slow. Su Yi shook his head slightly, and moved sideways cleverly, easily dodging the whip kick. Then, the right leg suddenly popped out at a speed more than twice as fast as Li Gao's. What? Li Gao's complexion changed suddenly, and he only had time to let out an exclamation. Then there was a bang, and he felt as if he had been hit head-on by a big truck. He flew 5 meters away and landed heavily. In fact, he felt right. Now, even without entering the anode state, Su Yi's side kick has a force of more than 2,500 kilograms, which is 2.5 tons. The force of 2.5 tons exerted on the human body is indeed similar to the feeling of being hit head-on by a big truck. From Li Gao's shot to being kicked out horizontally, the whole process took no less than 1 second. But the movement produced was not small, and attracted the eyes of many soul warriors around. Isn't this Li Gao from Jiating Soul Martial Arts University? Why was he beaten so badly? Tisk tisk, the little brother on the opposite side is from the Demon Capital Soul Martial Arts University. It seems that he kicked the iron board. The opponent doesn't even use soul power, the gap is too big. The surrounding people who eat melons are talking about it. Some people who suffered from Li Gao even clapped their hands and applauded, wishing to go up and step on it now. As before, we will go to the B14 area of the wilderness area later. The level of beasts there is not high, and at this time, Chen Wan led her team out of the supply base. Suddenly someone in the team exclaimed, Captain, look over there, isn't that Li Gao? He was beaten. Chen Wan looked towards the square, and suddenly saw Li Gao lying on the ground, with Red's blood oozing from his waist, and his breath was like gossamer. And not far in front of Li Gao, the tall young man who was persuaded by her half an hour ago was walking over with a smile on his face. He did it. Chen Wan was startled, and hurriedly led the team over there. In the middle of the square, Su Yi walked up to Li Gao, and said condescendingly, Don't pretend, you're not hurt that badly. With his current physical fitness, without turning on the anode state, he is only equivalent to an extraordinary 7th level soul warrior. For extraordinary 6th order spirit warriors, although it is crushing. But it was just one leg, and it wasn't enough to be beaten into a state where he couldn't afford to be seriously injured. Snort. Li Gao snorted coldly, stood up slowly, and at the same time, the soul power in his body circulated according to a special trajectory, gathered in his hands, vaguely forming a wolf claw shape. Huang rank advanced soul skill, Wild Wolf Claw. If this move hits a person, it's like being grabbed by a first-order intermediate elite wild wolf. Seriously injured on the spot. If I were you, I wouldn't choose to do this. Suddenly, Su Yi's voice sounded. Li Gao raised his head subconsciously, and met Su Yi's gaze. It was a kind of clear eyes that were as cold as iron, and seemed to contain no trace of extraneous emotion. In addition to the touch of luxurious gold red under the eyes, it looks even more oppressive. As if as long as he makes a move, there will be a thunderous blow. Then think about it, the other party doesn't seem to use soul power until now, and the strange power is extremely terrifying. Only then did he slump and let go, dissipating his soul power. This time, I confessed, what do you want? That's right. A bright smile appeared on Su Yi's face. If he didn't know it, he would think he was seeing a good friend for many years. I don't want to embarrass you either, as I said just now, just pay me some mental damage. After getting into the first level of, the anode is not extinct, he needs to collect the cultivation resources of the second level by himself. And the cultivation resources on the second floor are extremely expensive. If you want to complete the cultivation, you need to spend at least 300 million Washa coins. And he only had more than 10 million, after purchasing a small amount of resources, it took a day and a half. So, to put it simply, Su Yi is short of money now. Originally, he wanted to kill more beasts and earn money by selling beast materials. But there is no way. Who told Li Gao to hit the muzzle of the gun? How much do you want? Li Gao said vigilantly. Not much, 2 million is enough. Su Yi said with a smile. So much. Li Gao almost jumped up. In this supply base, the total amount of money he cheated was only more than 2 million. 2.3. This time, wouldn't it make all his hard work for more than half a year in vain? Not too much, not too much, think about it, 2 million, it will save you from the pain of flesh and blood, what a bargain. Su Yi said with a smile, but the threat in his tone was undisguised. Dealing with this kind of person is to be ruthless. This, Li Gao hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth, and finally became ruthless. Okay, 2 million is 2 million. Half a minute later, Su Yi looked at the 2 million extra balance on his bank card, smiled and waved. Thank you very much, I hope you will stop cheating in the future, or if you get caught by me, it will not be something that 2 million can solve. Li Gao snorted coldly, and did not dare to speak harshly again. But after turning around, his face was covered with icy coldness. 2 million, that's a full 2 million. I can't deal with you, but there are people who can deal with you. With a flash in his eyes, he walked quickly to the lobby on the first floor of the supply base. I want you to know that my money is not so easy to get. When the time comes, how do you take it? How will I make you spit it out? Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.